Okay. Slight hiccup at the start. I think we're good. I think I got it. I got it. I got it stabilized. Fingers crossed. Okay. Oh, please let this... Please let everything be good. Please let this be good. Let me just have this world, life, reality, existence. Please just let me have this. It's like my thing. It's like my one thing I have. Come on now. Don't take it away from me. It's like my one thing I like to do. All right. I think I'm done whining. Okay, so it was this one. Oh god, I went back and like double checked where I was and like what I was doing next. I think it's this, and I think I do the other thing to get the other thing to go the other this. Answer the phone. I did not answer the phone. Now I answer the phone. The phone I pressed against Kaguri's head stopped ringing, and in that moment, the world changed. Well, that doesn't seem right. That's not how this usually goes. I also couldn't find my bottle of water, so I just have a glass of water. So classy. I was inside a deep black darkness. There was no sound, no temperature, just darkness, cold and silence. No one was here. I didn't even know if I was asleep or awake. There was nothing but a vague sense of presence. Nothingness. Nothingness spreading out into infinity. Trying very hard not to say it. Huh? What was I doing? Wasn't I...
ちょっと岡部、いつまでもそんなところで寝てると風邪ひくわよ。
I turned toward the voice. Standing there next to the open curtains of the development room was...
何よ。
Oh boy.
なんだ、クリス、いたのか。
Alright, well that was not as casual as that was more casual than I was expecting. Alright.
いたのかとはずいぶんご挨拶だな。さっきからずっとここにいたじゃない。
そうだったか。
そうよ。昨日も一昨日もずっとここにいたわよ。
It did seem that way, come to think of it. My head seemed like it was full of fuzz. But I wasn't sleepy or tired or anything like that. My mind was very awake. But something was missing. Something important.
そういえば、ダルヤン・マユリはどうした？
あんた、本当に大丈夫？何か不具合でもあったんじゃない？
どういう意味だ？
A lot has happened to this man.
橋田もまゆりも。ほら、そこにいるじゃない。
え？
おかりん、てってれ
ー。
僕のこの大きすぎる存在感を見落としてるなんてどうかしてるぜ、オカリン。
Oh, that's right. Daru and Mayuri were always here, weren't they? No, it wasn't just them. What the fuck?
今日な、元気がないにゃ。フェイリスの萌え萌えチャームで元気を取り戻すんだにゃ。
京馬さん、僕にできることがあったら何でも言ってくださいね。
Paris and Lukako too. And
岡部倫
I
太
feel
郎
like
の
I'm
ため
going
に
insane.
その
I
辺
feel
の
like
食べ
I'm
られ
going
そうな草で
insane.
私が特別ジュース作ってあげるよ。
What is that? What is that fucking effect? I feel like I'm losing my fucking mind.
私もいるよ、岡部くん。
Suzuha and Moeka. All of the lab mems were in the lab, like they always were. That's right. This was my daily life. This was how I spent every day.
ふむ。全員いるようだな。では、ただいまより、第65,536回目の円卓会議を行う。お前たち、準備はいいか？
That's a lot of roundtable conferences.
まったく
That's a big
いつも
number.
いつも暑苦しいわね。
お前こそ、いい加減そのおすましフェイスはやめるんだな、常習。
だから私はあんたの助手になった覚えはないと言ったろうが。
I love this. Hold on, it's. Oh god, I hope I don't press the wrong button. Nope,
オ
that's the
カ
wrong
リン
button.
とクリスちゃん
How
は
do I?
いつも仲良しだね。
That one? It's that one. I like this picture because it's got everybody in it. I like it. It's got everybody. All of them. All right, that is all.
イチャイチャしやがって。リア充爆発しろ。
I feel like these technical difficulties have fried my brain. Like I feel like I've lost a significant amount of my precious brain cells.
ちょっと橋田、私がいつこいつとイチャイチャしたって言うのよ。
仲がいいほど喧嘩するって言うにゃ。
羨ましいです。
Oh.
漆原ルカも一緒にイチャイチャすればいいじゃん。
ダメです。僕にはそんなことできません。
イチャイチャ。
ねえ、お前たち、いつまで無駄話をしている？さっさと会議を始めるぞ。
で、今日の議題は何なんだ？
そんなものは決まっている。今日の議題は
What?
議題は
My thoughts exactly.
岡部？
Something was wrong.
オカリン
Everything seemed the same, but
どうしたん？オカリン。
no, it is okay. I was like, am I crazy or is it like, are things going grayscale? They're going grayscale. I'm not losing my mind, or I am losing my mind. No, that's right. It was cold.
今日も
This is. I didn't feel it.
京馬さん。
No emotions.
岡部倫太郎
No warmth.
岡部くん。
Everyone was here. But it was cold and dark. Cold. Cold.
岡部くん。
Cold, 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 cold.
岡部倫太郎
It was so, oh god, just the disembodied voices give me chills. It was so cold, it felt like the marrow of my bones was going to freeze.
京馬さん。
Like my bones were made of ice. Like all the blood in my body had been replaced with mercury.
オカリン。
That's not a voice you want to hear in the depths of your eardrum. It was cold. It felt like I was going to freeze at any moment. What was this?
オカリン
Where was this place? Where was I?
岡部。
I. Dude, that shit fucked my brain up. My poor brain. I just got finished with so many technical difficulties. Don't make me think it. I picked a real rough time to come back. Or a part to come back to, I guess, is a better way to phrase it. My poor fucking brain. Where was I? What was I doing? Oh, God. I tried to speak, but the words didn't come out. It looked like I was lying on a bed, and a very hard one at that. I slowly looked around. It wasn't the lab, and it wasn't my room. The room was old and gloomy. Of course, I'd never seen it before. What was I doing here? There was a terrible pain in my head, like someone had jammed an electrode into my brain. I tried to raise my hand as I lay there, but it was too heavy. It was like all the joints in my body had frozen. Dude, I'm always so fucking blown away by the emotions evoked by the voices. It took all my strength to slowly sit up. Each time I moved a little, my muscles screamed and pain ran through my whole body. After several minutes, I finally succeeded in sitting on the edge of the bed and looking down. I realized I was wearing a white gown like hospital patients wear. There was some kind of equipment on my head, and the cables coming out of it were connected to a strange machine. What had happened to me? Just a moment ago, I was... That's right, Kaguri. Kurisu's memories had been downloaded into Kaguri's head. He tried to erase them by overwriting them with Kaguri's own memories. Then... That's right, I remembered now. The world line had changed right after that. What had happened then? I tried to remember, but it was like my mind was filled with fog. For now, I needed to figure out where I was. I took off the headgear and got out of bed. And collapsed. This didn't make sense. Was I just dizzy after all that was going on in my head? I tried to stand up again. And I couldn't get any strength in my legs. I kept standing up and falling over, and in the end, I was only able to get up by grabbing the side of the bed. How could standing on my own 2 feet be so exhausting? Was I sick with some terrible disease? And maybe I'd been in bed for several days? I somehow managed to drag my weak legs to the door. It was bizarrely heavy. Or maybe it just seemed that way to me. It only opened after I put my full weight on it. The door was locked, but it seemed to be the kind that could be opened from the inside. I walked down the dark hallway, leaning up against the wall for support. At the end of the hall were stairs. Dude, the fucking music is giving me chills, dude. I have chills, like literal chills. I clung to the railing and slowly walked up them. At the end of the stairs, I found a hatch. Using the full strength of my back, I was just barely able to get it open. I was inside an old building. I walked down the crumbling hallway, still clueless as to what was going on, and finally found the door to the outside. Exhausted, I staggered outside, and I saw... mountains of shattered rubble.
なんだこれ
Rows of destroyed, abandoned buildings. Hey, there's that thing from that thing. Exposed, twisted steel girders. I forgot what they're called. The satellite things that they talk about in Anonymous Code. At first, I thought it was a movie set, but it was all far too realistic for that. The walls, the windows, the ceilings, everything was destroyed. Little bits of rubble covered the ground. There were cracks in the asphalt on the road, making it impossible to walk straight. And it wasn't just directly in front of me. I spun around a full 360 degrees and saw the same scene everywhere. I smelled oil. I smelled something burning. I looked up to the sky. It was dark and gloomy. I thought it might just be cloudy, but something else seemed to be going on. I would say gloomy is a bit of an understatement for this shit. I could see the hazy outline of the sun beyond the black curtain that covered the sky. Oh, Jesus. A violent pain in my throat made me cough. I quickly covered my mouth with the sleeve of my gown. My eyes stung. I tried once more to calm down and see if I could remember what happened, but I had no luck. All I knew for sure was that there had been a world line shift when I deleted Kurisu's memories from inside Kagari. The memories held by the Amadeus Kurisu. And the memories implanted in Kagari. Maybe when whoever owned them changed, that is, whoever held Kurisu's time machine theory, the world line changed with it. And this was another altered world line, which meant that what I was seeing was... I saw what looked like an ash-covered stick poking out of the ground in the corner of my eye. I slowly went to take a closer look. It was sticking out of the rubble, and at the tip it split into 5 smaller branches. Oh, no. It was a hand. It was a human hand that had been scorched pitch black. A terrible feeling came rising up out of my stomach. Suddenly, I thought I saw something move. Someone was there. Where? I listened carefully to try and pick them out. The other side of that big building. I could hear some kind of sound from over there. Was someone there? If there was, maybe they could tell me what was going on. Trying my best not to make any sound, I peeked through the walls of the crumbling building. They were there all right. There were people there. Lots of them. But they weren't people anymore. They were just human-shaped wads of meat. You could just say corpses. You could just say corpses. You don't have to say wads of meat. Piled up into a mountain. And on top of the mountain was a pack of dogs. Something long and slick was hanging out of the dogs' mouths. Intestines. This is unpleasant. They were eating them. They were eating the bodies. The stench was horrible. The sound of the flies was overwhelming. It was like something out of hell. My gaze met the vacant eyes of one of the bodies. One of its eyes fell out, and black insects crawled out of the empty socket. I ran away. I'm gonna be honest, like, saying these things is awful. I hate it. Gross. I ran as fast as I could, stumbling forward on failing legs. Somewhere. Was there somewhere around here that was sane? But no matter how far I went, it was the same thing. Mountains of rubble. Rows of abandoned buildings. All I could see were the dead. There were no living humans. And then I found it. Oh, I recognize this street! There were rows of huge buildings, which all looked like they were about to fall over. The roads were full of cracks. There was a warped overpass sticking out of the ground. A few rows of iron and railroad ties. I knew it. I knew this place. It was only a shadow of its former self, but I knew it. This was Akihabara, which meant...
ラボはどうなった？
I don't want to see it. No. Where was Mayuri? Where was Daru? Where was Ferris? What about Lukako or Suzuha? What happened to Maho and Kagari? Just as I ran toward the lab to find out, I heard footsteps behind me. Rough footsteps stomping over the rubble, more than one set. They got louder and louder, and soon I saw them coming toward me from between the crumbling buildings. There were 3 of them. They each had assault rifles in their hands.
貴様、そこで何をしている?
When they saw me, they all pointed their guns at me. I'm sorry. Don't hurt me. There was so much I wanted to ask them. There were things I wanted to know. But the only thought that came to me was that I needed to get away. But even as I tried to turn around and run, my body refused to listen. 動くな! They must have sensed that I was about to flee, because one of them yelled. Holes appeared in the concrete at my feet. They'd shot at me. They really shot at me. They'd shot at me with real guns. If I'd just been just a little closer, they would have hit me. I was too scared to stand. The men got closer, but still holding the guns. I don't know why I said but. Run. You have to run. But it was like my body belonged to someone else. It wasn't listening to me. The men kept getting closer. And then there was another sharp noise. One of the men had collapsed to the side. I don't know why I'm adding words. I don't know why. He hit his head on the rubble and stopped moving. The other 2 waved their guns around, clearly confused as to what just happened.
邪魔だ!
Something dragged me to the ground. And then more gunshots. The 2 of them fell backwards, still holding their weapons, at almost the exact same time. They died. Right in front of me. Someone had died. I could do nothing more than sit there and watch as a silhouette moved in front of me.
お前、死にたいのか?
I looked up. And the person I saw was... Hello again. Suzuha.
ほら、いつまでボケっと座っているつもりだ?
お前、殺したのか?
Yeah.
何を生っちょろいこと言ってるんだ、お前.
It was a colder voice than I'd ever heard.
お前、鈴葉だよな?
I do love the detail that she, like, there were 3 of them. She shot 3 times. One shot, 1 kill. Like, she's a fucking master. I love that detail that she's like, just that she only needs 1. Her iron mask of an expression suddenly changed to surprise. But that was only for a moment. A second later, and the fierceness had returned.
お前、何者だ?
Did she really not?
俺のこと知らないのか?
Did Did the change in the world line mean that Suzuha and I had never met?
岡部だよ。岡部倫太郎だ。
The expression on her face changed again.
岡部倫太郎、そんなバカな。
Two pairs of icy footsteps sounded in the darkness.
こっちだ。
After I'd given my name, Suzuha had stared at me suspiciously for a moment. Then she'd made some kind of call and told me to come with her. She made me wear a blindfold almost the entire time, though. So I had no idea which way I'd gone or where I was.
止まれ。
I did as she said. When I heard the knock, I finally realized we were in front of a door.
君に萌え萌え。
バッキュンキュン。
Beautiful.
入れ。
We would have no other password. Evidently, that was the password. I could only think of one man who'd choose such a stupid password. I heard the sound of a heavily locked door opening, and at last I saw a dimly lit room in the darkness. The room was piled high with what looked like mechanical junk. Rows of instruments lined the walls. A man was sitting in front of them, looking straight at me.
よかった。やっと目を覚ましたんだな、
So
オカリン。
Who was this guy? How did he know my name? He must have been in his mid-40s. He was a big, broad-shouldered man with a stubbly face. There was a sharp but gentle light in his eyes. Also, this fucking song. This fucking track. Masterpiece. I felt like I'd seen him somewhere before.
あなたは。
やだな。僕のこと忘れたん？そりゃいくらなんでも冷たいぜ、オカリン。
Dude, old Darun. It's crazy. The way he talked, and that voice. There was only one person it could be. But that was...
まさか。誰か。
The man's face broke into a broad smile.
よかった。覚えててくれて。てっきり忘れられたのかと思ったのだぜ。
誰。本当に誰なのか。
こんなナイスガイ、僕以外にいるわけないじゃん。な、鈴葉。
せめてもうちょっと痩せてくれれば認めなくもないけど。
そう言うなって。これでも若い頃に比べれば随分と痩せたんだぜ。
Indeed, the Daru in front of me was quite a bit slimmer than the Daru I knew.
というか父さん、少し言葉遣いおかしくない？
僕も久々にこういう話し方したよ。でもオカリンはこの方が話しやすいだろうと思ってさ。
That's... Oh man, I don't know what I'm feeling right now. The more pressing issue, though, was his age. He was clearly a middle-aged man. The youngest I could possibly imagine him to be was his early 40s. And then I saw a shelf in the corner. I saw a man I didn't know reflected in its glass. It was another man like him in his 40s. He was staring at me with a gloomy, sunken face. I slowly raised my right hand, and the man raised his left as if copying me.
誰。一つ教えてくれ。
何でもどうぞ。
今は何年だ。
Haru's smile quickly became something more serious as he answered me.
2036年。世界は戦乱の真っ只中だ。
Daru gave me all the details. Dude, that's like that. I don't know how you don't just immediately go insane. I'd lose my fucking mind. I mean, I guess at this point he's battle hardened, but still.
それじゃあ
I mean, I guess not literally battle hardened, but
本当
like
に今は2036年なのか。
battle hardened to insanity, I suppose.
そういうこと。
It seemed unbelievable. But Daru's appearance, and more than anything, my own, made it undeniable. 2036. Suza had said that World War III would start sometime in the next 10 years. 5.7 billion people would die. The population of Tokyo would drop to a tenth of what it once was. After that, World War III itself would end, but the chaos would continue, and even in Japan, no, everywhere around the world, battles would continue. Was that what I'd just seen?
だがどうして俺はそのことを何も覚えていないんだ。
All of my memories were of 2011. I had no memories of the past 25 years. My last memory was of erasing Kurisu's memories from Kaguri's head.
それに俺は2025年に死ぬと鈴葉から聞かされていた。どうして生きているんだ。
それは私も聞きたい、父さん。
Suzuha chimed in.
私たちはみんなオカリンおじさんは10年前に死んだって聞かされてきたんだ。
Suzuha leaned over him.
父さん、これはどういうこと？もしかして私たちを騙してたのか？
落ち着け鈴葉。ちゃんと説明するから。
Daru looked at me as if he was remembering old times, and then resumed his explanation.
オカリンは2011年の1月半ばまでの記憶しかないってことで OK？
ああ、2011年の1月に世界線が変動した。それ以降のことは覚えていない。
I'd gotten 25 years older without realizing it. The fact was starting to eat away at me.
やっぱ体の方に少し問題があるのか、それとも混乱してるのか。今のオカリンの頭の中には2011年の1月末までの記憶がなきゃいけないんだけど。
末？どうして1月末なんだ。
マホタンがオカリンの記憶をデータとして保存したのが2011年1月末のことだからさ。
Yajo-san saved my memories?
アマデウスの研究の役に立ちたいから記憶サンプルを取ってくれってオカリンからマホタンに頼んだらしいじゃん。
俺がアマデウスの。
And then I realized something incredible.
ということはもしかして今の俺の脳の中は。
そう、お察しの通り。今のオカリンの脳内にある記憶はその時の2011年にデータ化された記憶なんだ。
It's fucking insane. Digitized memories. Inside my head.
ちょっと待って父さん、話が全く見えない。そもそもどうしてオカリンおじさんが生きてるの？おじさんは2025年に死んだって言ってただろ？
死んだよ、事実上はね。
事実上？
タイムマシン開発競争はその頃がピークだったんだ。各国のいろんな機関がマキセ・クリスが残した論文と彼女の記憶を欲していた。でもその時点でマキセ・クリスの遺産は全部ストラト4の手に渡ってたんだよね。
Stratfo.
ただ連中をもってしても論文の中身を確かめることはどうしてもできなかった。ロックを解除できなかったんでね。ちなみにそのロックを開発したのは2010年の僕。
Just that. I love how he has to get that humble brag in. He's like, oh, by the way, that's my lock.
そこでストラト4はマキセ・クリスをよく知る人物を捕まえて情報を聞き出そうとしたんだ。
それが俺か。
連中はオカリンの記憶からマキセ・クリスについての情報を取り出すためにあらゆる手を使ったらしい。僕たちが助け出した時には オカリンの精神はボロボロだった。まともに生きるための能力さえ失ってた。回復する見込みのない死んだのとほぼ変わらない状態だったんだ。
それじゃあ肉体は生きていたってこと？
そういうこと。これはオカリン自身の入れ知恵でもあった。オカリンは自分が狙われてることに危機感を覚えてたからね。
でもせめて私にくらいは教えてくれてもよかったはずだ。
敵を騙すにはまず味方からって言うだろ。
そんな。
Suzuha seemed a little depressed. It must have come as a shock that her dad didn't trust her.
そんな顔するな、鈴葉。このことを知ってたのはワルキューレの中でもごく限られた一部の人間だけだ。
I knew the name Valkyrie. Suzuha had talked about it a lot in 2010. It was the name of Daru and Suzuha's resistance organization.
話を続けよう。オカリンは心を破壊されたせいで生きるための能力を失っていた。放っておいたら肉体さえ死んでしまう状態だった。そこで事実を知る一部の人間の手によってこことは別の施設でずっと面倒を見てきたんだ。
From 2025 to 2036, 11 years without letting anyone find out. You needed nutrients to keep your body alive. And since I was in bed the whole time, my joints would have gotten stiff, and friction against the bed would have caused my skin to split open. Someone had watched over me the whole time to keep that from happening.
もしかしてマユリが。
マユシだけじゃない。フェイリスタンやルカシ、それにマホタンもだ。
They were alive. Mayuri, Ferris, and Lukako. Even in this terrifying world, they were still alive and still looking after me. They had been for years.
なあ、誰？
Dude, that's so funny. Ah, it gets me. It gets me a little bit.
どうして俺は今になって目を覚ましたんだろうか。
My memories had been digitized back in 2011. If they'd known those memories existed, they could have downloaded them into me a lot earlier, right?
それは単純な話さ。オカリンの記憶データはつい最近までどこにあるかわからなかったんだよね。つうか、オカリンとマキセ・クリスの記憶データはストラト4がずっと保管してたんだけど、その保管場所がずっとわからなかったわけ。見つけたのは半月前。どこにあったと思う？驚くぜ。
Scared the shit out of me. I thought... Computer? I thought it was another disconnect. It's not. We're good. I just... Fuck you, computer. It just popped up. It's like... Here are some memories from October 14th of last year. Oh, that's fucking rude, computer. Don't... You scared me. No, I don't want to fucking look back on my memories of last year. I want to do what I'm doing now. I live in the present, motherfucker. All right. That scared me. That startled me. I'm good. We're good. We didn't disconnect. Everything's fine. I told you. I fixed it. We're good. Nothing will ever go wrong again. I probably shouldn't have said that even as a joke. We're good.
どこだ？
東大元暮らし。大学だよ、僕たちの。
まさか東京電機大学か？
その地下に連中の支部があったんだよ。つっても今はほとんど廃墟になってるけどな。
Stratfo had a base in the basement of Tokyo Denki.
で、半月前にオカリンの記憶データをサルベージした僕たちは早速脳にデータをダウンロードした。
But for the next 10 days, I hadn't woken up. Just as they were about to give up, I'd finally awoken. After 25 years. 25 years. I stared at my hands. They were so thin I could almost see the bone, and I could see veins popping out of them. The face reflected in the glass was unhealthy and wrinkled. My hair was starting to turn white too.
起きたら25年後だったなんて。とんだ浦島太郎だな。
気持ちの整理がつかないのも無理ないさ。
Of course, it was a shock. But the most shocking thing was...
この記憶は一度データになったものなんだな。
My memories since I was a kid. My memories of that summer. My memories with Kurisu. All of them had been transformed into zeros and ones. Could you still say that I was a person? Could I still be called human?
でもそれを言うならマキセ氏のタイムリープマシン技術だって同じじゃん。オカリンはあれ何度も経験したはずっしょ。
That's also true. He was right. But even if I knew it in my head, it still felt strange. I'd been cut off from 25 years of time. It had all been forgotten and left behind in a digital world. It felt like it had been stolen from me.
私はやっぱり納得いかない。
そう言うなって鈴葉。
父さんはいい。そうやって世界中を騙していたんだから。
だから仕方なかったんだってば。
Deceived, huh? I'd been deceived too. I'd been told I was fated to die in 2025. And that even in the beta world line, that wouldn't change. But no matter how it had happened, I was alive right now. Even in the past, I'd been deceived by the future. And it wasn't just me. Suzuha and everyone else. The whole world had been deceived.
世界が騙される。
It begins. My man Daru. Like for as much shit as we give Daru, he really is the man. You know what I mean? Like when it comes down to it, when it really matters, Daru is the man. And then there was a knock on the outside of the door. There was a visitor, it seemed. Suzuha got close to the door.
君に萌え萌え。
I love the fucking password. It's so dumb. After hearing the world's most ridiculous password, Suzuha unlocked the door. It opened and a young girl came in.
太郎おじちゃん、鈴葉お姉ちゃん、トゥットゥルー。かがり、ここには用があるとき以外は来るなと言ってるだろう。
Kagari. This child was a young Kagari?
ごめんなさい。でも、ママたちみんな出かけて帰ってこないんだもん。
Boop. I just realized I haven't booped anybody. Boop. Also, you get head pats. Boop, boop. Okay.
まあまあそう目くじら立てることもないだろう。
また父さんはそうやって甘やかす。こういうことはきちんとしておかなきゃダメなんだ。
The way they interacted hadn't changed in 25 years. I ignored them and looked at Kagari. And she seemed to notice me, too.
こんにちは。
Hello. Oh my god, she's adorable! I love her. She's so cute!
おじさんは誰？
俺か。俺は。そうだな。君のママの友達だ。
I hesitated for a moment, but decided not to give her my name.
まゆりママの？
ああ、そうだ。
へえ。
ママは優しいか？ママのこと好きか？
大好き。
そうか。
Oh man, am I gonna cry already? It hasn't even been an hour. You're already ruining me, Steins. It's too, no, stop. I could see the love she felt for her mother radiating from her face. Mayuri must have raised her with a lot of love too. She'd been raised with everything Mayuri could give her. But after this, she was going to go to the past. She would be all alone in the past, separated from her beloved Mayuri. And then they would catch her and use her as a test subject.
そういえば父さん、まゆ姉さんには伝えたのか？おじさんが目覚めたこと。
あ、いかん。すっかり忘れてた。早く教えてやらんと。
He took out what looked like a small wireless radio.
こちら、バレルタイター。応答せよ。こちら、バレルタイター。
こちら、スターダストシェイクハンドです。どうぞ。
No! My heart! Ah! She's Stardust handshake! I'm okay. The voice I heard from the speaker was definitely Mayuri's. You know, yeah, that's what clued you in, not the fucking code name. It felt a lot calmer than what I was used to, but it was definitely Mayuri. Wait, what was Stardust Handshake? Mama! What do you mean, what was Stardust Handshake? That's your name, my guy.
かがりちゃん、誰おじさんのところにいるの？おじさんは大事なお仕事があるから、あんまり邪魔しちゃダメだよ。はーい。
そんなことよりまゆし、スペシャルなニュースだ。
You're gonna lose your mind.
ニュース？
ああ、心して聞いてくれ。オカリンが目覚めた。
本当にオカリンが？どうしたの？まゆし。オカリンが。
Oh my god, the voice. Even on the radio, her voice. Ah!
もしかして岡部さん目を覚ましたんですか？
You could literally, like, feel the emotion from the voice. Insanity. I heard one voice I knew after another coming from the radio. The voices didn't seem to have changed all that much.
そういうわけで3人ともすぐに戻ってきた方がいい。まゆし、どうした？まゆし。
ダメ。まゆしは嬉しさのあまり涙ぐんで声も出ないみたい。
まあ無理もないよな。オカリンの復活を一番望んでたのはまゆしなんだからさ。
Mayuri.
とにかくみんな早く戻った方がいい。
Mayuri.
わかった。食料を受け取ったらすぐに戻るわ。
Everyone else was overjoyed, but I saw that Suzuha's expression was clouded.
どうした、鈴葉。
She's still pouting.
なんでまゆ姉さんたち食料調達に出ている？今日は予定になかったはずだ。
え？
そんなはずない。確かに今日だって昨日の夜遅くに連絡が。まずい、それは罠だ。みんなすぐに戻って。
Don't ruin this for me! Scream from the speaker cut her off.
どうした？何があった？襲撃です。敵襲が。くそ。マイリちゃん、リリーさん、逃げて。ここは僕が。
No! It was so happy!
でもそんなことしたらルカニャンが。僕大丈夫ですから。早く。危ないルカ君。ルカニャン。父さん。
Suzuha started running, and Daru followed after.
待ってくれ、ダル。俺も行く。
でもオカリン、その体じゃ。
行かせてくれ。頼む。
hesitated for a moment, but then quickly nodded and offered me his shoulder. He was a little thinner than he was when he was young, but his shoulders was still gigantic. I put my weight on it as we followed Suzuha. When we finally got there, I saw several silhouettes. I'd been mentally preparing myself for a fierce battle, but the whole place was dead quiet. There were several men dressed like soldiers lying on the ground nearby. In front of them was Suzuha. Kneeling next to her were two women, and at their feet...
Luka-ko.
I could tell at a glance. The person lying there was Lukako. The two women looked up at me. God damn it. There's no escape.
おかりルカニャンが
Eerie and Ferris both seemed beaten down by the passage of time. Stop! His features had grown more gallant, but his face was still soft and feminine. Lukako looked at me with hazy eyes.
Lukako.
本当に岡部さんなんですか？
ああ、ルカ子、俺だ。
その呼び方、本物の岡部さん。
Single trail of blood dripped from Lukako's mouth. His outfit was stained with blood over his right breast, and the blood dripped out the blood dripped. Fuck, I'm all twisted. I can't handle this, man. Okay. The blood dripped over onto the ground. I knew immediately that the wound was fatal.
よかった。さっきの話は嘘じゃなかったんですね。
I'm so unhappy.
ああ、お前たちのおかげでこうして目覚めることができた。ありがとう。
Lukako's hand reached up toward the sky as if he was looking for something. Maybe he couldn't even see me anymore. I grabbed his hand. It was very cold.
岡部さん。
どうした？
僕やりました。
ああ、
京馬さんに教えてもらった静止ザマ流の心へのおかげで今までまゆりちゃんやみんなを守ってこられました。
ああ、
僕仲間になれました。
Always,
ね。
you always were. I'm too turbulent. I'm too emotionally turbulent. Okay. You were never not, Luca. You were never not. I didn't mean to do that.
皆さんの本当の仲間になれましたよね。
バカ。お前は最初からずっと俺たちの仲間だ。
Lukako reached out a cold hand and touched my cheek and smiled a dazzling smile.
嬉しいな。
That was all he said. And then the touch on my cheek disappeared.
ルカ子。ルカ子。
ルカ
The cold hand fell to the rubble-covered ground. And never moved again.
なんてことだ。
よかった。ルカ君はオカリンとずっと会いたがっていたから、最後に会えたのは本当によかった。
Glad? She was glad? After this? Mayuri's words made me realize how hellish the last 25 years I'd slept through must have been.
漆原ルカ、あなたはとても立派に戦いました。私たちはあなたに救われました。どうか安らかに。
I want to hear Mayuri say these things. I don't... I hate this.
こんなのあんまりだろ。
マユシは
泣き疲れて眠ったよ。
無理もないよな。マユシはルカシとずっと仲良かったから。
ルカ兄さん。
Lukako was dead. He died protecting Mayuri and Ferris. Yeah, this is what I want to fucking think about right now. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. In my mind, his death overlapped with Mayuri's. Mayuri's hands got colder, and so did Lukako's. It was the same no matter where I went. Mayuri, Lukako, and Kurisu. Everyone dies.
あの戦争をきっかけにたくさんの人間が死んだ。小学校の友達も中学高校の友達も大学の友達も親戚も先生も知り合いも大人も子供も、それから大切な人もたくさんの、本当にたくさんの人間が死んだんだ。
I knew this was coming. At least, I thought I knew. I didn't reach Steins Gate. If I stayed in the Beta World Line, the world would eventually burn. I'd heard it 1,000 times. And I thought I knew what the future would be like. But in the end, it was just a story about the distant future. It didn't feel real at all. I could only imagine it. All I had were vague, unrealistic ideas. All the thousands of nightmares I'd experienced. I'd thought nothing could be worse than that. But when I saw it with my own eyes, heard it with my own ears, and felt it with my own skin, I realized that everything I thought was wrong. Piles of bodies. Wild dogs devouring human corpses. Dead soldiers. The smell of burning flesh. The smell of rotting organs. The warmth of Lukako's blood in my hands. The warmth of Mayuri's blood. The warmth of Kurisu's blood. I thought that if nothing else, I'd managed to save Mayuri. I'd let Kurisu die, turned my eyes away from reality, and told myself that at least I'd saved Mayuri and the others. But in the end, I hadn't saved anyone. Even if I had, I'd only saved myself. I was the only person I'd managed to save. No one else. Not Kurisu. Not Mayuri. Not Kagari. Not Lukako. I hadn't saved anyone.
クリスをアマデウスの呪縛から解放してやってくれ。伝言。2025年のオカリンから。
俺の伝言。
シュタインズゲート世界線への道は険しい。一度や二度やり直したところでたどり着ける道ではないだろう。けれどまずはそこから始めることがシュタインズゲートへとつながるんじゃないか。いくつもの未来の先が過去へとつながっているんじゃないか。11年前オカリンはそう言ってた。
クリスを解放。
だからさ、僕たちがいるこの世界も無駄じゃない。きっと必要な世界なんだ。少なくとも今の僕はそう思ってる。もちろんだからってこのままでいいってわけじゃない。
誰？
だからさ、オカリン、もう一度戻って考えてみてもいいんじゃね？オカリンの記憶の途切れたその時間にさ。
2011年にか。でもそんなこと。
I could see my aged body in the glass.
大地、この姿のまま戻ったところで俺に何ができる？
できるわ。
Maho! I heard a voice I recognized from the radio.
久しぶりね、岡部さん。11年ぶりかしら。
ひよ嬢さんか。
部屋の奥を見なさい。
As if he'd known what she was going to say, Daru had moved to a spot in the back of the room where the lights didn't reach. Suddenly, it got brighter, and I saw...
電話レンチかっこかり。
Future Gadget number 8! Hey, I love the number 8 right here.
あなたや橋田さんから話を聞いて私が作ったものよ。ほら、ちゃんと VR ヘッドも用意してあるでしょ。
こんなこともあろうかとリフターも用意してやる。
Daru went on to explain that for the last 11 years, he'd maintained an environment where I could receive the time leap, even in a coma. That made sense. Even if I was in a coma, as long as they put the receiver up to my head, it would still function. Mayuri and the others had taken care of my body since 2025. So Daru and Maho had known that this day would come 11 years ago? Or maybe I told them so back in 2025.
改良を重ねた結果、跳躍可能時間は336時間。一度の跳躍で1週間は遡ることが可能よ。
336時間。2週間か。
ただし、それも途中まで。マシンを改良してそれが可能になったのは10年ほど前だから、それ以前は前と変わらず48時間しか跳躍できない。
In other words, if I wanted to go back to the end of January 11th, I'd need about 3,000 time leaps.
とてつもなく辛い旅になるわ。
That's
それ
fucking
でも戻る気
bonkers.
があるのなら。
Almost 3,000 time leaps. Was I really capable of something like that anymore?
しんどくなったら途中で休めばいい。
誰？
大丈夫よ。どの時間にたどり着いても必ず私たちがいるから。
ひや嬢さん。
私ね、後悔しているの。アマデウスのせいで。あの子は死んでもなお多くの横島な人々に利用されようとしていた。何年も何十年も。だから私からもお願い。あの子、クリスを醜い欲望の渦から解放してあげて。 クリスを救ってあげて。それができるのは岡部さん、あなただけよ。
I didn't know if I could do it anymore. There was no guarantee that the path I was about to travel would ever lead to Steins Gate. But even so,
もう一度考えるか。
what could I do? What should I do?
二人とも頼む。
オキドキ。
As soon as the words were out of his mouth, he started getting ready.
岡部さん、もしも次にクリスに会えたら言ってやって。未来の私はあなたの7倍もの時間跳躍を可能にしたわよって。
Oh, I love her so much. I love that. That's her fucking mic drop moment. She's like, and after all this, let Kurisu know I fucking beat that time leap record 7 times over. Let's fucking go.
わかった。
If I ever saw Kurisu,
オカリン、こっちの準備は OK だ。
早いな。
メンテは怠ってないからね。
I was about to say, Daru's been ready for this for the past fucking 11 years.
さすがだな。
まあな。
The phone wave, name subject change, and the VR headset. They looked a little different than what I'd seen in the old lab, but they were still our future gadgets.
あ、でもまゆ姉さんたちとは話さなくていいの？
今飛ばないと決心が鈍りそうだ。それに今会えなくてもいくらだって会えるさ。過去の世界で。
そうだな。
Daru smiled as I took the VR headset out of his hand and put it on my head.
それじゃあまた2週間前でな。
See you 2 weeks ago.
ああ、2週間前で。
しっかりね。
And then I jumped back into the past once more. It took a long, long time. The journey was unimaginably long. My man, it blows my mind. I also just there's something about the fact that like there are 2 characters who are like have established to have made like thousands of time leaps at a time, and of all the people, like Okabe makes sense, he's the main character, whatever. The other one is Nai, which is crazy to me. Obviously not like the canon Nai, but like a Nai. That's crazy, right? I love that of all the characters, only 2 of them have done that, and it's fucking those 2. I still need that story. Steins Gate Science Adventure Series headquarters. If you're listening, you're not listening. If you're listening, I need that story. I need that as like a short story, like a light novel or something. Give it. I need it. I need the story of the rogue Nai. I don't know, the one with the Nai. All right, that was dumb. I wasn't kidding though. I need that story. I looked at the phone I was holding in my hand. The date read January 31st, 2011. No doubt about it. I was back. I had finally made it back. I'd gone back through so many years. I'd done thousands of time leaps. Gone through the war. I'd almost died. I'd thought of giving up a bunch of times. But each time, I remembered it all. That ruined world. The piles of corpses. The screams. The shouting. The dripping blood. And Daru and Maho, and how they'd sent me off. After a long, long, unimaginably long time, I'd finally made it back to this time.
おかりん？ 何か良くない知らせでもあったの？
Like the fact that he still has like his sense of self. You know what I mean? Like that's this man is like he's basically superhuman. Like you can't deny that. That's insane.
電話に
That
出
he
て
can
か
still
ら
form
なんだか
words.
ぼーっとしてるから。
いや
Also,
そうじゃない。そういうわけじゃないんだ。
I was so distracted by Okabe being awesome that I didn't even acknowledge the fact that Mayuri has appeared. Okay. Boop. Mayuri was here. That's
もしか
exactly.
してまだお正月の気分が抜けないのかにゃ？
Boop. Ferris was here.
しっかりしてくれよな。
Daru! Boop. And Daru. And Lukako. And Suzuha. Put them on screen. I must boop them. And... Maho and Kaguri were here too. Boop. Boop.
もしかしてこの前の疲れが出ちゃったかしら？
この前。
ほら、この前アマデウスのサンプル用に記憶データを取ったでしょ？
Oh, right. Daru had mentioned that. He'd said that it was at the end of January.
あ、いや、そうじゃないんだ。ちょっと、な。かがり。
ん？なに？オカリンさん。
この時代に来てからの記憶は、まだ思い出せないのか？そうか。
どうしたの？いきなり。
なんでもない。ただ少し確かめただけだ。
何それ？変なオカリンさん。
I got to double check which of many hellish world lines I'm in currently. Since I'd come from the future, I knew. In this world line, Kurisu's memories no longer existed inside Kaguri's head.
でも私ね、別にこのままでもいいかなって思ってるんだ。だってここにはママもいるし、ルカ君やルミお姉ちゃんもいるし、食べ物だっていっぱいあるし、無理に思い出す必要もないんじゃないかって。
そうか。
Maybe that was fine for now. But the future was going to be filled with sorrow. For Mayuri, for Ferris, for Lukako, for Daru, for Suzuha, for Kaguri, and for Maho. Did I really make the right choice when I decided to let Kurisu die? After everyone had left and I was alone, all the exhaustion came crashing down on me. I had time leaped 3,000 times. I thought I'd be able to work things out in my head along the way, but I'd been so desperate to return to the past that I just hadn't had time. My mind was worn down after all the time leaps. Again, amazed he still has, like, cognitive ability at all. I thought I made the right I thought I'd made my decision, but I'd found myself wavering again and again. I'd only managed to do it by telling myself that I had to get back before I could make any decisions. And now my head just felt so tired. What should I do now? What should I do? For now, I didn't want to think about anything, but I felt too awake to even sleep. With everyone gone, the temperature in the lab quickly dropped. It was freezing. But it was nothing compared to the cold I'd felt before. That world I'd seen right after I'd erased Kurisu's memories from Kagure. Kurisu was there, Mayuri was there, everyone was there. It was a scene from that very brief peace I'd had during that summer. But That world had been so cold. And now I knew why. That was the world that I'd experienced when I was asleep, existing only as data. A world built of only zeros and ones. Like being alive even when you're dead. Or being forced to stay alive even though you were dead. The people I loved were there, but there was no warmth. I could reach out and touch them, but there wasn't even a little bit of warmth. It was like floating in deep, dark space without any light at all. And Makise Kurisu was now experiencing that too. She was all alone in a cold world, without the slightest trace of warmth. I raised my hand up under the fluorescent light. I could see the veins rising up out of it, and the red blood flowing in them. I was alive. There was warmth. But could I really say that I was alive? Now that my memories had been digitized, after being exposed to that cold world, could I really be called human? I heard a knock at the door and turned my eyes toward it. Maho was standing there.
ヒヤジョーさん帰ったんじゃなかったのか。
ちょっと忘れ物をしちゃってね。
忘れ物？
それよりあなたこそ一人で何をしているのかしら。
Maho showed no signs of looking for whatever she had lost. Instead, she came right up and sat down in front of me. We know what she lost. It was you, Okabe.
さっきもずっと難しい顔してたわよね。何か気になることでもあるの？
Where did I put my Okabe? I left it at the lab. Maybe she'd been worried enough to come back and check on me?
私じゃクリスの代わりにはなれないかもしれないけど、それでもよければ話してみて。
ヒヤジョーさん。
There was no need to worry about whether I could tell her or not. I needed her to make the time leap machine. And for that, she needed to hear everything.
嘘みたいな話だが聞いてくれるか。
まったくあなたなんて人なの。
Stupid fucking cushion. Ah! Better. That was the first thing she'd said after I finished. Oh wow, this is so much better. This chair goes from like it fluctuates between really comfortable and like sinking into a pit of quicksand. I can't figure out why. What the trick is. Just like last time, it wasn't something that was easier for her to believe. But Maho must have sensed something in the way I spoke, because she listened until I finished. She interrupted me whenever there was something she didn't understand. She was especially interested in the time machine and the time leaps. I told her everything I knew about them.
信じてくれるのか。
信じないわけにはいかないでしょ。そんな顔して語られたら。それに実際にこんなものを見せられたら。
Of course. You know what you should do to make her instantly believe you? Just be like, oh, and by the way, yeah. She said to tell Kurisu, but tell you like times 7 to Kurisu's record. So there's that. Get to work. That's motivation.
ヒヤジョーさん。
それに
God,
これで
I
納
love
得が
this
いった
track
わ。
too. It's so
前から不思議だったのよ。
they're all so good. I don't know why I just sometimes I feel the need to just be like, oh, by the way, this track, incredible. They're all amazing though. I love them.
クリスは秋葉原に来てほとんど日を置かないまま死んでしまった。そんな彼女とあなたがそれほどに仲良くなれたということが、特にあの子のあの性格でしょ。そんな期間にそれも男の人と親しくなるなんてよっぽどのことがあったんじゃないかと思っていたのだけど。
So that was it, she whispered to herself.
それで あなたは何を気にしているの？
I turned away from her.
岡部さん？
俺なんだろうか。
どういうこと？
聞いただろ。今の俺の頭の中にある記憶、それは一度データとなってハードディスクの中に保管されていた記憶だ。いわば人工記憶と言ってもいい。そんな俺は果たして俺自身だと言えるんだろうか。生きている、そう言えるんだろうか。
There was blood running through my body, but what was in my head had been changed to ones and zeros. Didn't that make me no different than Amadeus?
なんだ、そんなことで悩んでたの？バカバカしい。
Oh, damn. Maho, those are my feelings. You've hurt them. But Maho just laughed at my worries.
あなたは哲学的ゾンビって知ってる？
Philosophical
確か思考実験の一つだろう。姿形から行動に至るまで人間そっくりだが、意識や感情が欠乏している存在は客観的に人間と区別ができるのかどうかという。
I hesitated a little as I answered her sudden question.
ま、大体合っているわね。
She nodded, satisfied, like a teacher would do. Oh my god. Dude. Maho is the bestest.
じゃあ仮にここに人間そっくりの外見をした人工知能が存在するとするわよ。人間と同じように振る舞い、同じように行動する。誰かが困っていれば手を差し伸ばし、悲しい時には涙する。これは決められたプロセスなのかもしれないけれど、でもそれは人間だって同じ。個人個人で定められたプロセスに従って考えて反応する。私たちはそのプロセスを意識や感情という言葉に置き換えているだけじゃないかしら。
I thought I understood what Maho was trying to say.
つまり AI にだって感情はあると。
少なくとも私たち科学者はそういうものを作り出すために日々研究を重ねているつもりよ。
She puffed out her chest with pride.
じゃあ岡部さん、あなたは感情を持った AI は人ではないと思う？
If they looked like just like a person and thought just like them and had feelings too, they were a person.
いや。
でしょ？そもそも個人を個人たらしめているのは記憶よ。その人が生まれ経験したこと、感じたもの、その集合体が人間なの。だから岡部倫太郎、たとえ一度データになっていても、あなたの記憶と体を持つあなたは紛れもなく人間、岡部倫太郎よ。心配いらない。
ヒア嬢さん。
だいたいクリスの作り出したっていうそのタイムリープマシンだって記憶を一度データ化して還元するものなんでしょ？
Like, dude, why didn't you have this like philosophical breakdown the first time? I think everyone's pointing it out.
だったら今さら思い悩むだけ無駄だと思わない？
They're not wrong. That was what Dara would told me in the future too. But strangely, when she said it, it made me feel better.
こういう時クリスならもっと的確なことを言えたのかもしれないけど。
いや、そんなことないよ。十分だ。
Maho had given her opinion as a brain scientist that I was still me. There was a strength in her words, just like there had been in Kurisu's when she'd driven me forward. I remembered what Maho had said before.
あなたは天才で、所詮私はサリエリだったってことよ。
Oh, Maho! She'd been speaking to the memories of Kurisu inside Kaguri, but
ヒア嬢さん、 君はサリエリなんかじゃない。立派なアマデウスだ。
That's right. I'm here right now. I'm alive and here in this time. Not in that cold sea of black data. I'm here in this time. Light came on in the darkness. My cold heart began to warm. But Kurisu, she was still trapped inside that world. Inside that sterile, lifeless world that froze you to the depths of your soul. Even after her death, her memories were still alive. There were all kinds of conspiracies forming around her living memories. Even after she lost her body, Kurisu's pain continued. No, it wasn't just Kurisu. Kagure and Suzuha. And in the future, Mayuri, Ferris, Lukiko, and Daru too. Everyone was suffering. Everyone was miserable, but they still tried to move forward. All I had cared about was whether Mayuri survived. I thought that even if World War III came, no matter what happened to the world, as long as Mayuri was happy, that was all that mattered. I tried to think that. I thought that no matter how much blood and tears awaited us in the future, as long as things were fine now, that was all that mattered. I thought I'd understood. I thought I'd understood how awful the future that Suzuha described was, and how hard Daru and Suzuha would have to fight. I thought I understood all that. Suzuha firing her gun and staining her hands with blood like it was nothing at all. That was pretty fucking boss, let's be honest. Three shots, 3 bodies, let's not forget. Mayuri and Ferris, pale and colorless. Lukiko lying on the ground and never getting up again. That one hurts. That hurts to think about. Kagure and the others, whose lives were ruined by fate. I'd seen them with my own eyes and touched them with my own hands, and then I finally understood. I had been only pretending to know so I could run away. I'd told myself that I was going to die in 2025, and looked the other way. 2025. I wasn't dead. Everyone just thought so. Everyone had been deceived. That's right, deceived. Me in the past, and everyone else in the future. The world was deceived. I thought the future was settled, but a different future awaited me. I'm getting goosebumps.
シュタインズゲート世界線への道は険しい。一度や二度やり直したところでたどり着ける道ではないだろう。けれどまずはそこから始めることがシュタインズゲートへとつながるんじゃないか。11年前オカリンはそう言ってた。だからさ、僕たちがいるこの世界も無駄じゃない。きっと必要な世界なんだ。少なくとも今の僕はそう思ってる。
I had no way of knowing what would make me say that 14 years from now. All I knew was that 14 years from now, I would know this day was coming. So maybe I should do what I said. If that future in 2036 was necessary, then maybe a world where Kurisu was released from her electronic prison was necessary too. No matter how hard the path would be, I had to take the first step. And what I needed right now was that first step.
ヒアジョーさん、
何？
アメリカに帰る前にもう少し付き合ってもらえるか。
そうね。条件が2つあるわ。
条件？
一つはこのタイムマシンを調べさせてほしいってこと。
もう一つは
あなたのこと、オカリンさんって呼ばせてもらう。あなたは私をマホって呼びなさい。
I'm so happy right now.
悪くない条件だと思うけど。
There was an innocent smile on her face, the likes of which I'd never seen before.
わかった。マホ。
よろしく、オカリンさん。
I'm like, I'm so extraordinarily happy right now. This is so freaking cute. When she put her small hand against mine, I felt a solid warmth.
どうしたんだにゃ、ホカリン。一度帰った後にわざわざ呼び出すにゃんて。
I'll never get over the way Ferris talks. Why didn't you call it? It's
そうだよ。
always great.
僕なんてそれほど近いわけじゃないんだからさ。話があるなら帰る前に言ってほしかったのだぜ。
I'd called all the lab mems back before they left to go home, and they weren't happy.
それで、お話って何かな、ホカ
Well,
リン。
some of them weren't happy. Mayuri's always happy. She's maybe
LINE
not
や電
always.
話じゃダメなお話ですか？
You can't tell me Mayuri isn't happy right now.
ああ。その前に、鈴葉、
何？
一つ聞きたい。お前は俺のことをどう思っている？
どうとは？
オカリン、まさか。
Look at Taru.
いくらオカリンでも鈴葉はあげらんないよ。お父さんは認めません。ダメ、絶対。
Daru, hush. I ignored Daru, who seemed to have gotten the wrong idea completely, and turned back toward Suzuha.
お前はこの半年、俺のことを見ていたはずだ。その上で、心の中ではどう思っていた？率直な言葉を聞かせてほしい。
言っていいのか？
ああ。
正直言うと、腹が立ってしょうがなかった。
Yeah, that was honest. I chuckled.
私や父さんや、まゆ姉さんだけじゃない。ルミ姉さんも、ルカ兄さんもカガリも。未来の世界では、みんな辛い思いをしている。明日は生きているかどうかもわからない。母さんみたいに、無残に殺されてしまうかもしれない。そんな世界で、必死になって生きてるんだ。それなのに、弱音ばかり吐いて、自分ばかりが辛いようなことを言って。
When she started talking, she didn't stop. This must have been building up for a long time.
もちろん、オカリンおじさんが辛い経験をしてきたことは知ってる。何度も苦しい目にあって、それで立ち上がれなくなったことだって知ってる。それでも、私たちにはオカリンおじさんしか頼れる人がいないんだ。
She looked down, clenched her fists, and grit her teeth.
私や父さんに代わりが務まるのなら、どんなことでもやる。どんな辛い思いをしようが、どんな苦しみが待ち構えていようが、それでも何だってやる。
鈴葉。
だけど、私たちじゃどうしようもできないから。オカリンおじさんじゃなければ、どうにもできないから。
She suddenly looked up, and I could see on her face all the complicated feelings she'd been holding back.
それなのにおじさんと来たら、無理だとかできないとか、勘弁してくれとか、そんな弱音ばかりで、話を聞いてくれようとさえしない。父さんの手前だから言わなかったけど、私はそんなおじさんの態度にずっと腹が立ってた。本当にぶん殴ってやりたいくらいだったよ。
It probably felt good to get that off her chest.
鈴葉、何もそこまで言わんでも。
そうだにゃ。オカリンだって分かってるんだにゃ。
I mean, he did ask for honesty. I did understand, yeah. I understood that something had to be done.
だったら、そうしてもらおうか。
そうするとは？
殴りたかったんだろう。だったら、殴ってみればいい。
でも。
What?
遠慮はいらない。
すずさん、やめて。オカリンは。
いいんだ、まゆり。
This was my way of settling things. With Suzuha. With the future. and with myself.
オカリンさん。
もしかしてそういう性癖
I knew he was
だ
gonna
った
say
ら止め
something.
んけど
God damn it, Daru.
本当にいいんだな。
Suzuha took a step toward me.
あ
I was ready.
じゃあ本気で行く。
あえいや待て少しは手加減を
せい。
ハグボア
Oh my god! That's amazing. Hold on, I gotta get that again. Hakaboa!
ハグボア
Oh my god! I can't, dude. Oh man, I love these voice actors. I love them so much.
ハグボア
I keep knocking out my headphones. Okay, if I don't stop myself now, I'm gonna rip my throat up again. Oh my god! All right, one more time.
ハグボア
Okay, I'm moving on. Okay. Hagaboa! She hit me hard enough to knock me across the room.
悪かった。少し力が入りすぎた。
You killed him, Susa! What have you
今
done?
すごい音したわよ。大丈夫、オカリン。
Everyone ran over and looked down at me. Yeah, that hurt a lot. It probably did more damage to my brain than reading Steiner or the time leaps. But...
Okabe さん。
It woke me up. Now I just had to do what I could.
おかりん
I'm so fucking hyped, let's go.
もしかして、今日オカリン。
違うぞまゆり法院京馬だ
京馬さん。
そうだ我が名は法院京馬
Yes! He has returned to us! Oh, this makes me so absurdly happy! The fucking music, let's go!
ラボメンナンバー001このラボの創設者にして混沌を望み世界の支配構造を覆すマッドサイエンティストフローイン・キャーナだルカコ
はい
白衣を持て
はい京馬さん。
At once!
京馬が復活したにゃー。
Dude, look at Daru, he's so hype! He is as hype as me. Not that I'm trying to draw more comparisons.
父さん。
It's the last thing I need in my life right now.
やったな鈴葉ようやくオカリンがやる気になったのだぜ
京馬さん、どうぞ。
む
I put my lab coat on for the first time in a very long time. It had been sitting on the shelf in the back so long that it smelled a little moldy.
そう これだ。これこそが我が聖なる白金の鎧。今この時法王院教魔は復活した。長い眠りからよみがえったのだ。
My man! The Phoenix reemerges. The Phoenix has risen. Kagari and Maho were seeing Hoin Kyoma for the first time, and they were shocked into silence.
なんなの？殴られたショックでおかしくなったの？
Is he broken? Did we break him? No, don't worry, Maho. He's not broken. He's been fixed. He has been repaired.
どうした？法院京馬。ママがいつも言ってた名前。いつかきっと法院京馬が復活して私たちの未来を照らしてくれるって。
Yes.
いや、ちょっとついていけないんですけど。
Maho's so lost.
おい、そこのロリッコ。
は
？What?
お前だお前。
もしかして私のことを言ってるんじゃないでしょうね。
この間にロリッコといえばお前しかいないだろう。
誰がロリッコよ、誰が。
貴様にはラボメンナンバー009の栄誉を与える。以後この法王院教魔の手足となり俺たちのオペレーションに参加するがいい。
なんで私があなたの手足にならなきゃいけないのよ。それにそのラボメンナンバーって何？
名前の通りこのラボの正式メンバーに選ばれた証だ。光栄に思うか。
The greatest of honors.
それから椎名係。貴様もラボメンナンバー010だ。分かったな。
はい。
ちょっと京馬、フェイリスたちはラボメンにはしてくれないのかにゃ？
Varys and Lukiko seemed upset. Come to think of it, I'd made them lab mems in the Alpha World line, but not this one.
言っていなかったが、もちろんお前たちはすでにラボメンだ。ルカコは006、フェイリスは007、そして鈴葉は008。いいな。
やったにゃん。
よくわからないけど了解した。
Okay.
なあオカリン、それおかしくね？それじゃあ004と005が不在じゃん。
その2つには戦略があるんだよな。
For Kurisu and Moeka. To be honest, I didn't like the idea of leaving Moeka as an official lab mem. But in order to reach a future where that could be true, I would have to face the past right now. That was my decision.
では全員が揃ったところで改めて宣言する。本日2011年1月31日をもって新たなるオペレーションを発動する。目的は予定された未来の粉砕、世界の未来そのものを覆すこと。それが俺たちの目的だ。いいな。
Oh my god. Alright, give me a moment, I gotta recover from the hype.
俺だ。
Yeah! Never mind, the hype is not over. Oh, I'm so happy. My man! He has truly returned.
これより俺たちは新たなるオペレーションを実行に移す。未来の俺は言った。いくつもの未来のその先にシュタインズゲートは待っていると。これから導く未来がたとえ茨の道だ
Oh
と
man, my
して
cheeks hurt.
きっと無駄なものではないはずだ。分かっている。 俺たちの目指す扉、そこにたどり着くには途方もない時間がかかるだろう。いかなる機関が俺たちを阻止せんと立ちふさがるかもしれない。それでも俺は何度だってやり直してやるさ。健闘を祈ってくれ。エルグッサイコングラウ。
So lost. After I finished my phone call, I realized that everyone was staring at me. Please don't look at me that way. I'm embarrassed too.
何それ。
The rebirth of a legend, Maho. The rebirth of a legend.
これはいわばそう儀式のようなものだ。
儀式ね
Yes, this was a ceremony. A ceremony to stop my fears from getting the best of me again.
え。まさかオカリンさん、あなたクリス相手にもそんな態度だったんじゃないでしょうね。
岡部ではない。今日まだ。
ふざけているの？
マホタン、あんま突っ込むのやめてあげて。オカリンもまだ模索してる最中だから。
Oh man, I feel like getting pitied by Daru is even worse than getting questioned by Maho.
そっか、これが法王院京馬さんなんだね。そうだよ。狂気のマッドサイエンティストさんなのです。
At least my Yuri is happy. That's the most important part.
いにしえのアルケミストの生まれ変わりでもあるのにゃ。
Don't add parts to the backstory, Ferris.
精神残魔流の師範でもあるんですよ。
すごい。ダメだ、父さん。私ついていけない。
You just don't stare at me like that. It's breaking my heart.
それで具体的にはどうするつもりなの？
まず最初に言っておくが、俺たちが最終的に目指すのは第三次世界大戦の起こらない未来だ。
Just like I told myself a second ago, I didn't expect to get to the world line we wanted, the Steins Gate world line, immediately. Just like I'd had to build up to the Beta world line little by little, I'd have to go through many pasts and many futures. And to do that, I first had to write this world line's future. This world had lost Kurisu, and the price for that was dire indeed. But I wouldn't let the future that awaited us be so full of suffering and pain. I wouldn't let it happen. Everything had to begin with that. Even if the future before us wound up never having happened at all. That was my responsibility, since I had chosen this world.
このベータ世界線においても、俺が何度か世界線の変動を経験してきたことは説明したな。まずはその原因を取り除かなければならない。
原因って何なのにゃ？
マキセ・クリスのノート PC とハードディスク、そしてアマデウスに残るクリスの記憶。
The time machine paper contained on the hard drive and all of her memories relating to it. All of those world line changes. It was safe to assume that they'd been caused by Stratfo and the others fighting over them.
故にクリスのノート PC とハードディスクの破棄、並びにクリスの記憶のデータを消去すること、これが今回のオペレーションの最終目的となる。
クリスのデータを消去？そんな本気なの？
ああ。
でもあの記憶はクリスが生きていた証なのよ。あの子がこの世界で私たちと同じ時間を過ごしたっていう証拠なのよ。私は 消去なんてしてほしくない。
I knew how she felt. Until a few days ago, I would have agreed.
だったら君はクリスの記憶が悪用されてもいいというのか。
それは
俺たちのいるこの世界線に至るまでのいくつかの過去において、あいつの記憶は争いの種になってきた。それに多くの人間が巻き込まれている。そこにいるカガリだってそうだ。
What happened to Kagari in the past several years, that probably hadn't changed in this world line. Which meant that was just another tragedy caused by the Pandora's box that was Kurisu's memories. One
それに
moment.
俺は一度データの中の世界を経験して知った。あの世界の冷たさをな。
That's right. I knew. I knew how cold that world was. It was a world inside a tiny box with no past, present, or future.
それほどまでに暗く冷たい世界にずっとクリスを閉じ込めておいて、君は平気なのか。それにあいつが生きていたという証は俺たち自身のここにある。
I put my finger to my head.
俺たちが覚えていること、そしてその上で第三次世界大戦の起きない平穏な世界へと導くこと、それこそがあいつが生きていた証拠になるんじゃないのか。
Maho fell silent as the whole group turned toward her.
陳腐なセリフね。それこそクリスが聞いていたら笑われるわよ。
だろうな。
だけど陳腐だと思えることにほど真実はあるのかもしれないわね。
Maho's dark frown became a smile.
あなたに従うわ。
ありがとう。ダル、クリスの PC とハードディスクはお前が持っているんだよな。
うん、マホタンから預かって簡単には見つからんところに隠してる。
それはアマデウスの件が終わったらすぐに破棄してくれ。
本当にいいん？
He looked back at Maho, and this time she nodded.
ええ。でもそれは私にやらせて。
OK。
The problem now was Amadeus.
マホ、アマデウスのあるサーバーにアクセスできるか。
ええ、できるはずよ。橋田さん、ちょっと PC を貸してもらえる？
あ、ちょい待ち。
Daru motioned for her to stop with one hand, then started typing something into the keyboard.
何をしてるんだにゃ、ダルニャン。
一応 IP がバレないよう厳重に細工を。OK、どうぞ。
Maho took over from Daru with the computer.
おかしいわ。アクセスできない。
どういうことだ。
パスワードが間違ってるってことは？
そんなミスするわけないでしょ。今まで何度も入力してきたんだから。
Maho tried the password a few more times, but she still couldn't access the server.
私のアクセス権限自体が停止されちゃってるみたい。どういうことなのこれ。ちょっと教授に電話してみる。
Maho took out her phone and called Dr. Leskinen, the most trustworthy man in the world. She put the phone next to her ear for a moment, then frowned and put it down.
ダメ。繋がらない。
She tried calling Dr. Reyes too, but that didn't work either.
もう、どうなってるのよこれ。
やはりそう簡単にはいかないか。
If Maho's access rights had been taken away, that must have meant someone was about to do something.
別のアプローチ方法を探ってみよう。ビクトル・コンドリア大学のサーバーにハッキングできるか。
OK、ちょっとやってみる。
How casually is it? Okay, got it.
簡単に言ってるけど、うちの研究所のセキュリティ結構厳しいわよ。
Dude, I love the fucking the V made out of V's, the I made out of I's. That's so funny.
大丈夫だ。なんたってダルはスーパーハッカーだからな。
Is this what hacking looks like? I'm sure. I don't fucking know.
それを言うならスーパーハッカーな。
He had broken CERN security in just 20 hours. I had absolute faith in him. Daru and Maho were staring at the screen and discussing something. He was probably asking her for details to make his hacking more efficient. I needed to do what I could while I waited. I went back into the development room and opened up a box that had just arrived that day. Mayuri looked over my shoulder into the box.
電子レンジちゃんだ。
唐揚げは解凍しないからな。
残念。みんながお腹空いたら、ジューシー唐揚げナンバーワンを振る舞ってあげようと思ったのに。
I mean, you could let her use it one time, right? First, I needed to reconstruct the phone wave named Subject to Change. After that, I'd have Maho help me make the time leap machine. On my way back from the future, I'd memorized every bit of how it worked, so it didn't take very long.
橋田さん、あなたすごいわ。
It was about 30 minutes later when I heard Maho's odd voice.
やったのか。
He sure is a super hacker.
僕にかかればこれくらい朝飯前だぜ。
スーパーハッカーの名は伊達じゃないな。じゃあ早速アマデウスのデータを探してくれ。
待って、今開いて。
I swallowed and looked at the screen as I listened to the mouse click. Trashes. Events? Library.
ない。アマデウスもクリスの記憶データもあったはずのフォルダからなくなってるわ。
すでに持ち出されたということか。待てよ。
I unlocked my phone and called up the home screen. Amadeus's icon was still there.
なあ、このアプリからアマデウスにアクセスできると思うか。
That'd be a hell of an oversight. Maho looked over at my phone.
どうかしら。アマデウスのデータそのものがサーバーに残ってないならさすがに無理なんじゃ。試してみて。どうしたの？
いざ繋がった時のことを考えるとな。慎重にいかないと。
そうね。誰かに見られているかもしれない。
ん？
どうしたダル？
ここ、さらに鍵がかけられてるフォルダがある。
どれ？
Maho leaned forward and stared at the monitor.
変ね。こんなフォルダ今までなかったわ。
かなり厳重なセキュリティがかかってるっぽい。さっきのとは比にならんくらい。
アマデウスはそっちに移されたのかしら。でも一体誰が？そんな権限を持っているのはレスキネン教授ぐらいよ。
レスキネン教授には裏の顔があったか、あるいは教授の身に何かあったか。
Neither possibility was appealing.
ダル、そのフォルダは一旦保留だ。次はストラト4のサーバーにハックを仕掛けてくれ。
え？ストラト4ってなんでストラト 4？
おそらく今回の騒動の一端を担っているはずだ。以前ハックしたことがあるから簡単だろう。
つかオカリン、なんでそんなことまで知ってんの？エスパーかよ。
俺を誰だと思っている。狂気のマッドサイエンティストは全てお見通しだ。
Give me a sec, he said, as he typed something else into the computer.
ストラト4のサーバーはと
I could tell he'd done it once before. This time he got through a lot faster than it took him to break into the university.
そのアマデウスっつうシステムのデータを探せばいいんだよね。
ちょっと待って。
I see two with the word memory in. Maho leaned her tiny body forward and took the mouse from Daru. She clicked on an icon. The screen filled with some kind of text.
これレポートだわ。
She opened several more files, but since they were written in English, we couldn't read them.
これは
一体何のレポートなんだ？
I mean, I could if you zoomed out a little bit.
実験よ。ストラト4が行っていた人体実験。
人体実験？
どうやらストラト4は記憶の移植実験を行っていたみたいね。誰かの記憶データを別人に移し定着させる実験をいくつも行っているわ。
Memory transplant experiments. That was...
最初こそ動物を使っていたようだけど、最終的には生身の人間で行われてる。被験者には身寄りのない人を利用したみたい。大人から子供まで人種も様々。
Jesus Christ. She looked down at the report again.
どうした？まだ何かあるのか？
どうやら彼ら記憶移植に関する新しい実験に着手しようとしてるみたい。
It was safe to assume the experiments had something to do with the time machine. They were trying to force open the black box of Kurisu's memories in order to gain information about the time machine. Even if they couldn't get the password for the laptop from Amadeus, if they could access her memories directly, it would give them everything they needed. It was just like what had been done to Kagari in the last world line, but on a more advanced level.
とにかく今はクリスの記憶データを探すのが先決だ。ダル、データはありそうか？
He took the mouse back from Maho and sighed.
いや、ないね。それらしいもんは見当たらない。
What was going on? Hadn't Stratfo stolen the Amadeus data from Victor Condria?
一番怪しいのはやっぱ大学のサーバーじゃね？あのプロテクトがかかってたとこ。
Which meant that they were working without stealing the data? Did they hack it like we did? Or...
どうする？
魔法を信じよう。ダル、侵入できるか？
できるけど、これはちょっと骨が折れると思われ。
どれくらいかかりそうだ？
わからんけど、下手したらまるっと半日以上はかかるかも。
If Daru said so, then it must have been really heavily protected.
しかも途中でハッキングかけてるのがバレたら全部おじゃん。
We needed to hack in to get rid of Kurisu's memory data. And until Daru finished, we needed to keep Stratfo distracted. The problem was, how?
アマデウスと通信している最中はこっちの位置情報はどうなるんだ？
全部把握されるわ。当然アマデウスのプログラムを持っている連中にもね。
I thought so.
問題はアマデウスにつながるかどうか。
First, I needed to see if the app even worked anymore. If it did, I had an idea.
魔法、一つ無茶な頼みをしていいか？
Oh yeah, didn't I? Hold on. Oop. I can't access the phone yet. A full day had passed since the operation began. Daru still hadn't managed to break the lock on that folder. Thankfully, they hadn't detected him yet, but that didn't mean we were safe. While Daru did his work, I finished my own, and then handed the rest off to Maho. My actions might have changed the future already, but we still had to do our jobs. Suzuha had her arms crossed, expression stern. She had been that way for a while. At a glance, she looked calm, but I could see her tapping her arm with her index finger.
おじさん、私たちにできることはないの?
We were finally ready to stop World War III. It had to bother her that there was nothing she could do. It had to be stopped as soon as possible, but all she could do now was wait. She was frustrated and on edge. But that was true of everyone else.
もう少しだ。ダルもマホも頑張ってくれている。
Once Maho completed what I'd asked for, there would be something we could do. There would be something we could do too.
フェリス、甘いものとか買ってくるにゃ。疲れた時には甘いものが一番にゃ。
あ、それじゃあ僕も。
Just as the two of them stood up, the development room's curtain opened. Maho flinched a little as everyone stared at her, but she quickly smiled. Then she thought better of it and tried to look more serious. Dude, that's so me, just being like, I just, oh man, I love her so much.
まったく。大変なことをいっぺんに頼まないでよね。
It's like, I don't know how to respond.
すまん。それで終わったのか？
言われたことは一応ね。
The microwave in the back was connected to a different headset than the one I'd seen last year. It was the same one she'd used to take my memories. That's why she'd been able to finish this in such a short time. A time leap machine. So it was done then. Now, even if I had to time leap from the future, I could go back to 48 hours from now.
それからこっちも。
She offered me a pair of smartphones. These gadgets would be our secret weapons in the upcoming battle. Okay, but most importantly, nope, still can't pull it up yet. I had Maho make them too. They used a simple AI to create a pseudo-response algorithm that would deceive our opponents.
さすがだな。こんな短時間に AI を作るなんて。
Deception is my forte. Let the world beware.
自分で頼んでおいてよく言うわ。
Her face looked exhausted.
アマデウスで使っている音声ソフトがあったから流用して開発期間を短縮したの。それにこれは AI なんて大層な代物じゃない。こんなものでごまかせるのかしら。相手はクリスなのよ。
少しの時間だけでも騙せればそれでいいんだ。ダルのハッキングから連中の目をそらせればそれでいい。
The goal was to just keep Stratfo confused. We didn't need to hold a long conversation. We'd just hook it up for a short time and end the call shortly afterward. It was time to get started. But first... I hit the send button on a message I'd already typed to Kiryu Moeka. Just do it like we discussed. Once it was done, I turned toward the group. Can I pull up my phone yet? Oh.
では、
I
作戦の
remember
概要を説明する。
I got a new wallpaper after the last one and I forgot about it until just now, but I want to check it, but now I can't pull up my phone. I'll get it at some point. Suzuha, Mayuri, Ferris, Lukako. I offered them the phones I'd just been given by Maho.
4人には2人1組になってもらう。そうしたらこのスマホを持って都内を動き回ってくれ。ペア同士はできるだけ離れた方がいいな。片方の組は中央線沿線、もう片方は山手線沿線ということにしよう。お互いに連絡を取り合いつつ、スマホにインストールされているアマデウスというアプリを立ち上げてくれ。
While Daru was doing the hacking, I'd left Akihabara and tried to contact Amadeus from Tokyo Station. And it had worked. Kurisu had responded. I'd cut it off instantly, but I was sure of it. The app was still working, and this plan was going to use it.
立ち上げてどうするの？
アマデウスはマキセ・クリスという人物の記憶をもとに作られた人工知能だ。俺たちは今からそいつを騙す。
That's right. Our goal was to deceive Kurisu. Dude, I fucking got goosebumps! When we contacted Amadeus, the enemy would know where we were. My plan was to take advantage of that fact.
アマデウスを立ち上げると同時にもう一つのプログラムが起動する。
もう一つのプログラムってなんだにゃ？
そこの S ってマークのあるアイコンをタップしてみてもらえる？
これかにゃ？
Ferris tapped her phone.
もしもし、俺だ。
オカリンの声だ。
話しかけてみてくれ。
今日はどうしたんだにゃ？
特に用はないんだ。少し話がしたくなってな。
すごい。自動的に答えてくれるんですね。
What I'd asked Maho to make was a simple program that detected words and phrases in a conversation and replied with set patterns. You could call it an artificial non-intelligence.
オカリンさんと私のボット、名付けてサリエリよ。
It's an Okabe chatbot. They called it Sally Ray! Dude. I love it. It's fucking Okabe chatbot. Thanks to the famous movie, Salieri was known as a lesser man with an inferiority complex, but in reality, he was a very talented composer. It felt a bit rude to the real Salieri to give his name to something like this, but there wasn't time to worry about that now.
アマデウスを起動すると、俺たちのボットが自動で返事をしてくれるようになっている。
つまり相手に今喋っているのは岡部さんだって思わせるということですか？
そういうことだ。
That's so great. Which meant Amadeus would think I was where they were. Which meant Amadeus would think I was where they were. I would have liked to have had more terminals, but since Amadeus needed the cell phone to be registered with its systems, there weren't many I could use. All I had were my phone and Maho's, but for a short time period, it would be enough. Of course, Maho's phone had her own version of Salieri. And then there was the message I'd sent to Moika's Rhine. The plan was for her to spread information indicating that Maho and I had Kurisu's laptop and hard drive. Even if they were doing the memory experiments, they still wouldn't want someone else getting their hands on them. Sooner or later, they'd pick up on that information and come after me with everything they had. Amadeus was in their hands. If Amadeus's location data told them I was there, they would come looking. But we wouldn't be there at all. And then they'd get a call from someplace completely different and head there. The plan was to keep them occupied with that and keep their eyes off the server hacking.
以上が今回の任務となる。
Everyone nodded.
くれぐれも言っておくが、アマデウスとの長時間の接触は厳禁だ。それからアマデウスを切った後はすぐにその場を移動すること。何かあったらすぐに連絡をよこすこと。これだけは絶対に守ってくれ。わかったな。
私はどうすればいいのかな。
Yuri raised her hand hesitantly.
君は連中に顔も知られている。ここから動かない方がいい。
でも私だって何か役に立ちたいよ。ママやみんなが頑張ってる中で一人何もできないでいるなんて、そんなの嫌だよ。
Well, this was a problem.
お願い、ホカリンさん。私にも手伝わせて。
I understood how she felt. I still couldn't put her in danger.
すまないが。
かがりちゃん。マユシーがかがりちゃんの分まで頑張るよ。だからオカリンの言う通りにしてね。ママ、わかった。 ママがそう言うなら。
That's how you're helping, Kagari. You're helping by not putting yourself in danger. That is your help. That seemed to be good enough for her.
おじさん、かがりには全てが終わるまでどこかに隠れさせておくべきじゃないか。
そうだな。だがどこに？
If we were going to hide her, it would have to be at Lukako's house or Ferris's place.
なんなら僕の隠れ家にでも行く？
隠れ家？お前そんなもの持ってるのか？
バイト用にいくつかあるんよ。そこでよければどうぞ。
よし、決まりだ。かがりもそれでいい
Man,
か？
Daru's on top of shit. Oh man.
わかった。
The issue was that I couldn't leave Kagari alone.
私にも何かやらせてもらえませんか？
え？
Hello. I turned around and saw that at some point Yuki had entered the room.
ゆきさん。橋田さんからここの鍵預かっていたので。
She showed us the key in her hand apologetically.
昨べ橋田さんに連絡したらなんだか大変そうだったから差し入れようと思って持ってきたんだけど。
She put the key away and then showed us a bag with a logo of a local cake shop on it.
事情はよくわかりませんが何かできることがあるならと思って。
でもさ、天音氏を巻き込むわけには。
いや、かがりと一緒にいてもらうだけだ。問題ないだろう。
Before, I had thought that it was maybe Yuki who'd attacked the lab. But looking back, that was wrong. If she was the woman in the motorcycle suit, there was no need to do something so elaborate. She could have just used the fact that she was in the same circle as Kagari to invite her somewhere and kidnap her. There was no need to take the risk of attacking the lab.
すまなかった。じゃあ、ユキさんはかがりと一緒にいてくれ。すべてが終わるまでダルの隠れ家に身を潜めてもらうことになる。場所はダルに聞いてくれ。事情は落ち着いたら教える。
わかりました。
Yuki nodded. Now everything was ready. I looked around at everyone in the lab.
じゃあ、みんな、あとは手はず通りに。
待っておかり。お別れ言わなくていいの？クリスさんに。
Goodbye. Amadeus was an artificial intelligence. She was an artificial being, not Kurisu herself.
ちゃんとお別れして後悔しないように。
Mayuri handed back the phone I'd just given her.
そうだな。悪いがここで少し待っていてくれるか？
Man, Mayuri's so sweet. I will never stop gushing over how fucking sweet Mayuri is. She's just such a precious little gem. I simply adore her. Anyways, I left Mayuri and Lukako behind and went to Akihabara Bridge. If I made contact with Amadeus, she'd know where I was. That's why I'd chosen this place. This was the first place I'd let Kurisu see how weak I was, back when everything seemed at its darkest. An advertising van passed by, blaring jaunty opera music at a loud volume that clashed horribly with its flashy paint job. I waited for it to get out of earshot before I tapped the Amadeus icon. She showed herself immediately.
ずいぶんと久しぶりね。
Hello.
そうだな。
私のことなんて忘れたんだと思ってたわ。
I hadn't forgotten. I could never forget.
いろいろあってな。
How many goodbyes had I said now? I'd said goodbye to her again and again, but I'd never gotten used to it.
それで今日はどうしたの？
君に聞きたいことがあったんだ。
何？またタイムマシンは作れるかって話？冗談。続けて。
もしもだ。もしも自分の命と引き換えに友達の命を救えるとしたら、君ならどうする？
質問の意図がよくわからないんだが。
答えてほしい。
She must have been able to tell from my words and expression that I was serious, because she took on a serious expression as well.
その友達は大切な人なのよね。
ああ、
私にはまだやりたいことがたくさんあるわ。やらなければならないこともある。でもそれでも、もしもその友人や周りの人が幸せになるというのなら、甘んじて受け入れるかもしれない。
Risu.
ごめんなさい。実際にそんな目にあったことないし、想像でしかないから確実なことは言えないけど、それでも一人でも私のことを覚えていてくれる人がいるなら、忘れないでいてくれる人がいるなら、とにかく私のことは忘れること。今日あったこともこれまであったことも、それが私の望みだから。
忘れるものか。
Never.
俺は決して忘れない。
This was a vow. A vow to get me through the long time to come.
岡部さん？
つまらないことを聞いて悪かった。
うん、それは構わないけど、何かあったの？
いや、なんでもないんだ。なんでも。それじゃあまたな。
待って。
え？
なんだか二度と会えなくなりそうな、そんな気がして。
Risu.
そんなことはないさ。
そうよね。私ったらなんで急にそんな風に思ったんだろう。
And just lying directly to her face. Rude.
会えるさ。必ず。
I mean, it's not typing. It's one of those technically not a lie if you really like squint really hard and interpret it very specifically. That's right. This wasn't goodbye forever. I'd see her again. So I won't say goodbye. Not until I see you again.
また。
また。
My heart, dude. Risu. I've got no idea how long it will take, but I'm going to reach you. I promise. I went back to Mayuri and Lukako and gave them the phone.
お別れは済んだ？
ああ。それじゃあ頼んだぞ。
I watched them disappear into the crowded station and went back to the lab. That van was still playing its loud music as it drove down the street. 5 hours had passed since the operation had begun. The only sound in the room was of Daru's fingers on the keys.
どうだ、ダル。
今のところ気づかれてはないと思われ。
まだかかりそうか。
早くても3時間くらいは。
I guess it wasn't going to be easy after all. Daru must have been exhausted, but he was still working. Mayuri and the others were sending me regular messages. Mayuri had paired off with Lukako, and Ferris with Suzuha. Since they knew each other so well, they were doing a great job of working together and running around Tokyo. Suzuha had told me that she'd seen shady-looking people several times, and Moeka had sent me a message saying that they'd taken the bait. For now, the operation was succeeding without anyone getting hurt, but I didn't expect it to last forever. I wanted to get Kurisu's memory data deleted as fast as possible, but in the end, my only choice was to rely on Daru.
すまないな、ダル。
それは言わない約束だろ。
I remembered how he looked 25 years in the future. Even in that far distant future, he was still my friend.
オカリンさん、ちょっといい？
Daru, my man! Man. I love all these characters so much. Until a little bit ago, Maho had been resting to recover from her exhaustion, but at some point she must have gotten up.
どうした？
これ、見て。
She handed me a stack of papers. It was a printout of Stratfo's report. She must have been looking at it after she'd woken up.
これは？
ストラト4によって被刑者としてリストアップされた人たちの名前よ。
There were rows of names, sexes, and ages, and other information.
ここ。
She pointed her small finger at one of the names. It said, Shina Kagari. Oh, look at the other names. Nope, don't recognize any of them. Moving on.
椎名かがり。
彼女、ストラト4のモルモットにされていたんだわ。
Of course, I'd known it was a possibility. That's why they'd been looking for her. She had Kurisu's memories too. In fact, it seems pretty obvious in retrospect. But still, it was one thing to suspect it and another to see proof.
だけ
That's
ど、
also true.
最終実験までには至らなかったみたい。その直前に脱走したと書かれてあるわ。
That made me feel a lot better. If Kagari still had Kurisu's memories, I would have seen a repeat of what happened in the last world line. This must be another effect of the world line change. But there was still no doubt that she'd been in Stratfo's hands for years. And she'd been the subject of many experiments during that time.
少し心配だわ。
Maho must have been thinking the same thing I was. Kagari was alone with Yuki at Daru's hideout right now.
ん？誰だよこの忙しい時に。
The ringing that suddenly interrupted our conversation was coming from Daru's phone.
天主だ。どうしたんだろう。
I had a bad feeling.
はい、もしもし。天主、どうしたん？何かあったん？え？かがりたんが？
かがりがどうした？
いなくなったって。
何？
I grabbed the phone out of his hands and put it up to my ear.
俺だ、岡部だ。かがりがいなくなったって、本当か？
岡部さん、ごめんなさい。私がついていながら。
一体どうして？誰かにさらわれたのか？
いえ、それが、かがりさんが自分で、私、必死で止めたんですけど、すごい力で。
自分で？
What was going on? Was Yuki really... No, that was impossible. If Yuki was working for Stratfo, she wouldn't be calling me. But then why had Kagari run off on her own?
スピーカーモードにしてもらえる？私も話が聞きたいわ。
I hit the button to switch the call to speakerphone.
ゆきさん、かがりさんが飛び出していく前の状況を詳しく教えて。何か変わったことはなかった？特には、それまでいろいろとおしゃべりしていて。何か変な映像を見たりは？もしくは音とか？いえ、待ってください。そういえば、外から変な音楽が聞こえてました。何かの凱旋者みたいでしたけど、 やけに大きい音だなと思ったら。
An advertising van? Was it the one I'd seen this afternoon?
それね。さっきのファイルに書いてあったわ。過去ストラト4が行ってきた数々の実験。その実験の中にブレインウォッシングが含まれていた。
Brainwashing.
洗脳か。
特定の音楽を耳にすれば自発的に行動するよう洗脳されていたんじゃないかしら。そうとでも考えなければこの状況で自分から進んで飛び出すとは思えない。
That song the van was playing. It was K6205. Of fucking course it was. The magic flute sent to lead Kagari astray.
ファイルにも書かれているわ。椎名かがりは適合性に非常に優れているため目下行方を捜索中って。
くそー。
They probably had vans like that all over Japan, not just Akihabara. And she'd fallen right into their trap.
どうするオカリン。
It was obviously Stratfo that had gone after Kagari, which meant that all we could do was... There was another call. This time it was to my phone. I had Ferris prepare several cell phones for my use in this operation. One to use to call everyone, one to give to Kagari, and... The call was coming from the phone I'd given to Kagari. It probably wasn't from her, though. Who could it be? That's an upsetting tone. The digitally altered voice made the caller seem even more eerie.
ああ、そうだ。お前は
椎名かがりは我々の手中にある。交換条件は言わなくてもわかるな。
Oh my god, it's so creepy. Kurisu's laptop and hard drive.
考える時間をくれ。
考える？何を考える必要がある？交換は明日だ。場所と方法は追って連絡する。
They hung up.
クリスの PC とハードディスクと交換だそうだ。
で、どうするん？
かがりが洗脳にあっていたなんて。
Suzaha was gritting her teeth in frustration as she listened to us. I'd had her come back immediately after the call, and I'd brought Kiryu Moeka to the lab as well.
率直に教えてもらいたい。仮に相手の要求に従ったとして、かがりを返してもらえると思うか？
思わない。
I like how Moeka wastes no time. No. Moeka gave her honest opinion.
私もそう思う。相手は洗脳なんて汚い手を使う人間だ。必要なくなれば容赦なく消すだろう。
最悪、あなたもやられる。
The only reason they would have called me specifically is that they knew I had the information they wanted to keep hidden. After what I'd gone through already, I could safely assume they'd show no mercy. And they were after what Kurisu had left behind. Her memories and her belongings. I didn't want them causing any more wars. Which meant there was only one thing I could do.
こっちから乗り込んでかがりを取り戻すしかないな。
It was dangerous, but it was the only way. Mayuri and the others were still out there fighting, which meant that they should still think I was running around the city.
乗り込むって、そんな相手がどこにいるのかもわからないのに。
Rambo style, baby.
どこにいるかなら知ってるさ。
本当か？おじさん、いつの間に？
鈴葉、手伝ってくれるか？
オーキードーキー。
Never gets old. I turned toward Moeka, who shook her head.
そこまでは付き合えない。
I bet.
ダメよ、二人でなんて 危険すぎる。
いや、大勢で動くよりも危険は少ないかもしれない。
And I knew that fate wasn't going to let me die for a little while longer.
まゆりさんたちには言わないの？
言えば心配かけるだろうからな。ダル、引き続きロックの解除を頼む。それからスマホは通話状態にしておいてくれ。
オキドキ。
Edoki! That never gets old. I love the
おじさん、これを。
Suzuha handed me a semi-automatic pistol.
グロック。もしもの時は自分の身は自分で守るんだ。
I mean, I was kidding with the Rambo style. I apparently kind of actually though. I hesitated, but decided to take it. It was the first time in my life I'd ever held a gun, and it was a lot heavier than I expected it to be. The lights were still on at the building in Konda. Even at this hour, the gate was open. That's how colleges were. As expected, we made it inside with no trouble.
ここに係が？
ああ、そのはずだ。
If Daru's information from 2036 was right, Stratfo's base was here at my university, Tokyo Denki. Several buildings occupied the school's Konda campus. Building 1, buildings 5 through 7, and buildings 11 through 15. That's 9 buildings. Buildings 5, 6, 10, and 15 were scattered throughout the surrounding neighborhood, but the remainder were in their own little isolated area. The only 2 of those with basements were 11 and 15, and my guess was that Stratfo's base was here in Building 11. It was not only the building with the newest equipment, but it was a big building with 17 floors and a lot of foot traffic going in and out. I didn't know how many people Stratfo had working for them, but at least some of them had to have been out looking for me, which meant that this place would be less well guarded than usual. And I had Suzuha with me too. This was doable.
こっちだ。
I led Suzuha straight down the stairs. There were 3 elevators in the building, but Suzuha decided that taking them would be dangerous. They could potentially be trapped. Yeah, in situations like this, fuck the elevators. Don't take the elevators. Bad idea. Don't do it. You will die. The problem was what lay down below. There were over 20 rooms of varying sizes in the 2-story basement. Which one of them was their base?
おじさん、こっち。
わかるのか？
思い出した。ここなら昔潜入したことがある。私が知ってる建物はもう崩れかけで、外観も全然変わってたからわからなかったけど、間違いない。
Suzuha led me down the corridors without hesitation. With her gun in her hand and her hips dropped low to the ground to avoid making noise as she ran, she looked just like a cat. She stopped in front of one of the rooms and nodded to me. It seemed no different than any of the others. But there was no nameplate on it. This was supposed to be a large generator room, as I recalled.
私は係を救出する。おじさん、自分の身は自分で守ること。
ああ。
I took the Glock out from my belt. It was heavy in my hands. Suzuha had taught me how to use it, but I'd never fired it before, and I wasn't sure I'd be able to. But it would still serve as a bluff.
行くよ。3、2、1。
After she finished her countdown, Suzuha shot off the doorknob, kicked open the door, and ran into the room. But she did it all in one swift movement. I ran in after her and then realized immediately that something was wrong. The first thing I noticed was the stench. It was an iron smell, strong enough to make you puke. Blood. The floor of the room was covered with blood. There were bodies, too. 4 or 5 of them. Of course, Suzuha hadn't done it. It was already like this when we got here.
どういうことだ
Suzuha was slowly working her way forward. I followed her. Some of the bodies were Japanese, and some were American. The room continued on. A large man was lying face down next to a half-open door. And next to him was...
思ったよりも早かったわね、ウィンタロー。
This bitch!
バカな
The voice saying my name was voluptuous and feminine, and its accent was foreign. And also it was
イエス教授
fucking Judy Reyes. Like,
元気そうで何よりだわ。
どうして
ちょっと探し物を返してもらおうかと思って。
Dr. Reyes spun around quickly and smoothly, like a dancer. Kagari was seated behind her.
かがり どうしたかがり聞こえないのか
There was some kind of strange mechanical device over her head. No matter how much I called out her name, she didn't move an inch.
あら、せっかく気持ちよく眠ってるんだから起こしてあげたらかわいそうよ。
Judy, you have such a punchable face. Has anyone ever told you that? Her smile was sharp and cold. It completely lacked the warmth I'd seen when we first met.
気をつけろ、そいつ軍人だ。
Suzuha already had her gun drawn at Reyes, but Reyes didn't seem concerned in the slightest.
軍人
Tennoji had said that, come to think of it, that the group looking for Kagari was with a Western military, and he'd wondered if a normal spy would have taken their own life.
そっちのあなた、何者？
かがりを返せ。
いい顔ね。日本にもそういう顔をできる人間がいるなんて知らなかった。とりあえず銃をこちらに。でないと椎名かがりは死ぬわよ。
かがりを殺した瞬間に私がお前を殺す。
あらそう。私は組織で動いている。私一人を殺したところで状況は変わらないわよ。
鈴葉
Suzuha laid the gun at her feet, frustrated.
いい子ね。ついでにそこで両手を頭の後ろに置いて立ってなさい。それで凛太郎、交換条件は提示したはずだけどちゃんと持ってきてくれたの？あらあら、いけない子ね。持ってきていないならこちらとしては椎名かがりは渡せないわ。
She had said that Kagari was asleep, but when I looked closer, I saw that her eyelids weren't fully closed. From what little I could see of her eyes, they were empty and devoid of light.
かがりに何をした
残念だけどまだ何もしていないわ。彼らが使っていた子守歌をちょっと聞かせてあげただけ。でもあなたが交換条件に応じる気がないみたいだからこれから始めてしまおうかしら。
She rubbed Kagari's cheeks with the barrel of her gun, a look of ecstasy on her face. What a fuck! What a fuck!
クリスの PC とハードディス
The
クは
worst, Judy.
特別な場所に隠してある
I hate you.
かがりを渡さないならこっちも教えるつもりはない。先にかがりを解放しろ。
交渉は無駄よ、凛太郎。そっちが渡す気がないならこっちはこっちのやり方をさせてもらうわ。
It wasn't a threat or a bluff. Reyes was acting like this was an everyday conversation. With all the blood and stench around us, that somehow made it even creepier.
これはあなたがやったのか。
ええ。彼らも余計な真似をしなければもう少し長生きできたのに。残念ね。
どうしてこんな真似を。
簡単なことよ。私の正体に気づいたから。
正体？
そこの彼女が言ってたでしょ。
軍か。
同時に研究者でもある。ダーパって言ってもどうせわからないでしょうけど。
I'm a child and I hear Derpa and I can't help but giggle. I'm sorry. It's funny to me.
アメリカ国防高度研究計画局。そんなレイエス教授が。
Derpa. I could hear Maho's voice through my Bluetooth microphone. I had left my phone connected to Daru's so that we could stay in touch if we needed to. Buy time? Now? It would be impossible. But I'd asked Daru for the impossible many times before. Now it was my turn. I couldn't let her hurt Kagari. Suzuha had lost her weapon. It would be hard to do this by force. I just needed to keep her occupied.
その軍の人間がどうして？
もともと私の所属するチームはブレインウォッシングの研究をしていたのよ。
洗脳？それじゃあかがりは？
言っておくけど彼女をこうしたのは私じゃない。彼らよ。
Them. She must have meant the people lying on the floor.
どうだか。そもそもなぜ軍の人間が洗脳の研究なんてする必要がある？
There was no need to even ask, but I needed to buy time for Daru to finish his hacking.
決まってるでしょ。思い通りに動く戦士を作るためよ。文句を言うこともなく死を恐れることもない。
God, that's
国のため
so...
に身を捧げる最強の戦士を作るため。
That is so beyond fucked up!
別に珍しいことじゃないわ。そんなの100年以上も前から世界中で行われているもの。でもね、洗脳なんて面倒なことをしなくても最強の戦士を作り上げられると私たちは気づいたの。それが AI 戦士よ。
AI 戦士。
The name alone made it sound like the title of a cheap sci-fi movie, but that also just made it creepier.
なるほどな。人工知能を兵士の頭の中に植え付けるというわけか。そうすれば一様に高度な頭脳と思考を持つ戦士を大量に生み出すことができる。
へえ。
それに特殊技能についての記憶を兵士全員にインストールすれば全員がどんなミッションもこなせる兵士にだってなれる。
その通り。リン太郎、理解が早いわね。しかもゆくゆくは教識化することでより綿密で高度な連携を図れるようにもなる。どう？すごいでしょ。
そんなの許されるわけがない。
陳腐なセリフね。
Just overriding people's brains. I was worried that Suzuha might jump at her in fury, but she stayed completely calm. Reyes was right next to Kagari. No matter how fast Suzuha was, without a gun, Kagari was still in danger. If I knew Suzuha, she was watching the situation carefully and waiting for an opening.
いい？私たちは世界の治安を守っているの。我が軍があるからこそ世界の平和は保たれているのよ。そのための戦士になれるのなら彼らだって本望のはず。
It was selfish reasoning. There was no way I or anyone else could accept it. But...
面白い。レイエス教授、いや、レイエス。貴様、なかなか面白いじゃないか。
I saw Suzuha's gaze dart over to me for just a moment. Her eyes seemed to criticize me, but she didn't say anything.
リン太郎？
リン太郎ではない。
You do not speak to Okabe Rinchiro. You speak. My job right now was to keep her busy until Daru broke the lock on the files, which meant now was the time to act. To act the part of the biggest fool I could. That was my job.
我が名は法院京馬。世界の支配構造を覆し、混沌に陥れる男。
一体何の冗談？
She's like, what the fuck?
この狂気のマッドサイエンティスト、法院京馬が認めてやろう。貴様、なかなかにマッドだ。
Moderately mad! Damn. I don't know if that's an insult or a compliment. Like, the mad is clearly a compliment, but the moderately, that's pretty brutal.
ほう。何？
法院京馬だ。岡部倫太郎とは世を欺くための仮の姿。その正体こそこの俺、不死鳥のごとくよみがえるマッドサイエンティストだ。
何それ？あなたユニークね。
For a moment, her mouth had hung open in shock, but she quickly regained her cocky smile. But I couldn't back down now.
レイエス、これまで貴様がやってきたことはすでに把握した。貴様は AI 戦士の研究のためにビクトル・コンドリア大学に教授として潜り込んだ。そしてその過程でアマデウスプロジェクトにたどり着いた。そうだな。
ええ、その通りよ。アマデウスはなかなかに面白いプロジェクトだったわ。でもそれよりも面白かったのは
She stepped on the body next to her as if it were an object and not a human being.
アマデウスプロジェクトの陰に見え隠れする彼らの存在よ。案の定探りを入れてみたらとんでもないものが見えてきた。何が出てきたかはあなたも知ってるでしょ。
タイムマシンだな。
Reyes flashed me a dazzling smile and nodded.
なるほどな。人類の夢であり、決して作り出すことのできないと言われたタイムマシン。その理論が記された論文の存在に気づいたか。それを手に入れれば世界の覇権をも手に入れることができると。だがくだらんな。貴様らの考えることは皆同じだ。
くだらないですって。
ああ、実にくだらん。世界の覇権、国家のため、組織のため、機関のため、どれも歪小な目的だ。そんなもののために世紀の大発明を利用するなど、科学者として下の下。
私は科学者である前に軍人よ。国に命を捧げたものなの。我が国が世界の覇権を手に入れればそれだけで抑止力になる。それは世界のためでもあり人類のためでもあるのよ。
Her voice was rising in excitement.
だから決して他の国に先を越されるわけにはいかない。革命的な理論を私たちが手に入れることで世界の均衡は守られる。世界の平和は保たれるのよ。それを他の国に、ましてや一民間企業に手に入れられるなど許すものですか。
それがこれだけの人間を手にかけた理由か。あえてもう一度言おう。くだらないな。
あらそう。彼らには悪いことをしたと思ってるわ。
She didn't really sound like she meant it.
本当なら彼らを泳がせるだけ泳がせておいて全てを手に入れてからデータを頂戴するつもりだったの。
ならなぜ殺した。
スパイとして潜り込ませていた部下の一人がヘマをしでかしちゃったのよ。だからそれについてはこちらの落ち度だと思ってるわ。でもね、彼らだって悪いのよ。うちには民間の研究者も在籍しているの。そちらに席を用意するって提案したのに、欲を出して要求を突きつけてきたりなんかするから、才能のある人間を失うのは不本意だわ。
What a fucking nut job! The corners of her mouth rose a little as she spoke. It didn't seem like she really felt that way at all.
さて、ここで一つ提案。岡部倫太郎、あなたうちに来ない？
何？
あら、意外って顔ね。一体何のためにわざわざこんな話をしたと思うの？メイドの土産になんて、日本のサムライシネマの中だけの話でしょ。
You sly dog! You got me monologuing!
心配しなくていいわ。私たちは国籍なんて問わないし、お望みならばグリーンカードだって用意してあげられる。
つまり俺のこの法王院清魔の才能を認めたというわけか。
もちろん、才能のない人間には声をかけたりなんてしないわ。あなたには才能がある。それにマキセ・クリスの友人でもある。
The real reason she was interested in me was probably the latter. It was far too obvious.
マキセ・クリスのタイムマシン理論について俺が彼女から何か聞いているかもしれない。そう期待しているわけだ。だからこの俺が欲しいと。
役に立つ人間は引き抜く。正当な対価も払う。それが私たちの生きる世界のルールだもの。
ということは役に立たなくなったら俺もそこに転がっている彼らのようになるわけだな。
それはあなたの働きと心がけ次第じゃないかしら。
Reyes laughed and went around behind Kagari. She seemed to be moving casually, but since Suzuha didn't pounce, she probably hadn't left any openings.
誰？まだなのか。
I was hitting my limit for buying time.
まあ、ゆっくり考えて。ん？
この俺の才能に目をつけるとはなかなかのハイエスト愛の持ち主だ。
It wouldn't be a Hoen Kyoma monologue without a chaotic laugh.
ハイエストアイ？
This is the best thing about it. It's just everyone. What's going on?
目が高いという意味だ。メリケン人なのにそんなこともわからないとはな。だがまあいい。科学者としてゲのゲだと言ったさっきの言葉を取り消してやる。何せこの俺の才能を見抜いたのだからな。
あら、それならこちらの提案に乗ってくれるのね。
断る。なぜならこの俺は法王院京魔だからだ。狂気のマッドサイエンティストは孤高の存在でなければならない。いついかなる時も何者にも属してはならない。それが宿命。
At first, Reyes seemed surprised, but then she exhaled a long sigh.
まあ、それについては結論を急ぐ必要はないわ。彼女の処置が終わるまでゆっくり考えてもらって構わない。
かがりをどうするつもりだ？
Suzuha still had her hands behind her head, but if looks could kill, Reyes would be dead already.
分かりきったことでしょ。彼女の頭の中にマキセ・クリスの記憶を上書きするの。
それは
Then in the other world line, maybe Derpa had done that and not Stratfo? And that wasn't all. Was the woman in the motorcycle suit who'd attacked the lab?
そんな顔しなくても大丈夫よ。このために今日まで動物や何人もの人間を使って実験を繰り返してきたんだから。
Oh man, such a punchable face. Just. Reyes rubbed Kaguri's cheeks lovingly.
そもそもこれまでのシステムには致命的な不具合があったの。でも今回はそれも解消した。その上彼女の高い適応力もある。きっと成功する。
She spoke so slowly. It felt like it was drawing me in.
クリスの記憶が、頭脳がこの子の中で再現されるのよ。そうなれば記憶のブラックボックスなんて存在しなくなる。私たちの言うがまま。彼女はきっとタイムマシンについても全部教えてくれる。もうクリスの PC もハードディスクもいらない。彼女さえいてくれればそれでいいの。
Reyes brought her crimson lips next to Kaguri. You get your face away from her face.
あなただってクリスになりたいでしょ。
ダメだ、カガリ！そいつの言葉を聞くな！
Kaguri didn't move at all.
天才と呼ばれたあの頭脳があなたのものになるのよ。世界に革新を起こす存在になれるの。素敵だと思わない？お返事は？
Kaguri's lips moved a little. Oh, stop!
いい子ね。
カガリ。
リン太郎、これはあなたの選択でもあるのよ。素直にこちらの交換条件に応じていれば結果は変わったかもしれないのに。それにあなただって本当はクリスに会いたいんじゃないかしら。人間を構成するのは記憶よ。記憶がその人間を作り出しているの。クリスの記憶を持ったカガリはクリスそのものになるわ。そうなればあなただって嬉しいでしょ。それにクリスだって。
ふざけるな！
I was surprised at how loud my voice was.
クリスが喜ぶだと？そんなわけがあるか！仮にカガリの記憶がクリスのものにとって変わったとしても、それはクリスじゃない！自分の記憶がそんな目的のために使われたってあいつは絶対に喜んだりしない！あいつをマキセ・クリスをバカにするな！
そう、残念だわ。いずれにせよ結果は同じ。そこで大切な人の記憶がこの子の中に受け継がれるのをおとなしく見守っていなさい。
Reyes started to tap commands into the computer next to her. Suzuha was still calm. She wasn't attacking Reyes because she was waiting for Daru's word.
誰？まだなのか？
My guy! Get a fucking move on! Damn it!
おじさん、
Suzuha whispered to me.
場合によってはカガリを見捨てる。私が動いたら伏せて。
Knowing Suzuha, she wouldn't hesitate.
はーい、準備 OK。
What do I do? Should I give up on her? I couldn't do that, could I? Either way, Kaguri was doomed.
それじゃあさよならカガリ。
Oh my god. This fucking... Reyes's thin fingers stretched out. And Suzuha moved. She closed the gap between her and Reyes in an instant. A gunshot rang out. Suzuha's body shot back and fell to the floor.
そう来ると思ったわ。残念だったわね。
Reyes had expected that. Then there was nothing I could do.
やめろ!
Before I could stop her, Reyes hit the keyboard. What? What?
どういうこと？どうして反応しないの？まさかこいつ。 God damn it! Shit!
That's what you get for not respecting the science, bitch! Reyes pounded the keyboard again and again, swearing. Was there a problem with the system?
オカリンさん。
There was a small light in Kaguri's empty eyes.
Bullshit!
With Reyes distracted, this was my chance.
かかれ来い!
オカリンさん。
Kaguri ripped the device off her head, stood up, and managed to run a few steps forward before she fell over.
かかれ!
I ran over and grabbed her. Reyes quickly brought her gun to bear. Another gunshot. I thought I'd been shot, but I hadn't. The gun, knocked out of Reyes' hand, was spinning on the floor.
それ以上動くな。
Suzuha slowly stood up. She was holding the gun that she'd just placed on the ground.
スザ無事だったか?
なんとかね。
What a fucking badass! Her shoulders were bloody, but it wasn't a fatal wound. She was lucky to survive a gunshot wound at that range.
形勢逆転だな。
参ったわね。まさかあなたみたいな子にしてやられるなんて。
Reyes shrugged her shoulders in surrender.
でもね、ここで終わるわけにはいかないのよ。
動くなと言っている。
Reyes ignored her and picked up the strange headset that Kaguri had been wearing. Suzuha gripped her gun more tightly.
ちなみに私、小型の爆弾をポケットの中に持ってるの。奥歯をちょっとだけ噛みしめれば、それで起爆するのよ。この至近距離なら、あなたたち3人も巻き込まれちゃうでしょうね。
Oh.
自爆する気か。
敵に情報が渡るぐらいなら死を選べと教育されているの。悲しいことにね。
はったりだ。
そう思うなら撃てばいい。
Suzuha moved to pull the trigger.
待てスザ今は誰を信じろ
Reyes glanced at Suzuha, then slowly put the headset down over her own head.
お前何をするつもりだ
あなたも彼女じゃなければいいんでしょ。
まさか
言ったでしょ。ここで終われないって。
There was madness in her eyes.
そうよ。簡単な話だったんだわ。わざわざ他人を使わなくても。最初からこうすればよかったのよ。
Not the fun Hoin Kyoma madness. The like, this bitch is batshit crazy madness.
これで私はマキセ・クリスの記憶を手に入れられるの。タイム麻酔の理論を得ることもできるの。世界に確信をもたらす存在になれるのよ。
やめろそんなこと
Don't use Kurisu's memories for that.
誰
今から私は時間をも支配できる存在になる。
誰？早くファイルを。
ちょい待ち、今探してる。
Reyes' fingers went for the keyboard.
やめろ。
大丈夫。心配しなくてもあなたの大切な女の記憶は私がちゃんと役立ててあげる。
あった、見つけた、オカリン。
消せ、ダル、頼む、クリスを。あいつを解放してやってくれ。
Coming to me, Chris.
Oh, that was the nastiest feeling I've ever felt in my life. That was deeply upsetting. Reyes' fingers touched the keyboard. Silence. Nothing happened. There was no light or loud noise like the phone wave named subject to change. Of course there wasn't. It was all going on inside her head.
どうなったんだ？
Reyes... She was in the exact same position as when she touched the keyboard, completely unmoving. Did the memories download? I steeled myself to take a closer look. And Reyes collapsed to her knees. The light hit her face, and I could finally see her expression. There was nothing there. No light, no darkness. Nothing. Just hollow emptiness in her eyes. That expression of joy she'd had when she touched the keyboard was frozen onto her cheeks.
オカリンさん、その人は。
早かったんだ。ダルの方が一瞬だけ。
It's fucking bonkers. The folder had been emptied just before she downloaded the memories into her own mind. She'd filled her head with emptiness and now nothing was left. Not the memories she'd had before, not her own history, not her own desires. There was just an empty shell. There was just an empty shell kneeling on the ground as if praying to God. Jesus Christ.
よくやった。終わったよ。何もかも。
I could hear Daru and Maho cheering from the earphone.
行こう、おじさん。いつまでもここにいるのは良くない。
That's true.
そうだな。係、歩けるか？
I mean, I certainly don't feel bad for her. Show of hands. Anyone feel bad for her? I don't see any. I'm okay. The only things left were dead bodies and a living corpse. It's a pretty brutal way to put it. Living corpse. Amadeus, the girl on the other side of the machine, was gone. She was gone from this world, along with the memories of the person I loved. I whispered softly to a girl who was no longer there.
また会おうな、クリス。
それじゃあまゆし、私たちまた来るね。
It's Fubuki and Kaede! I mean, more Fubuki than Kaede is my excitement, but I like Kaede. Kaede's alright. I always feel the need to justify that. Like, I love Fubuki. I don't dislike Kaede, like, but it's just there's such an imbalance on the scales for my reactions, and so I feel kind of bad because I'm like, Fubuki and Kaede.
またね。ルカ君も今度一緒にコスプレしようね。
その考えておきます。
オカリンさんや皆さんもお邪魔しました。
ああ、またいつでも来るといい。 どうした？
オカリンさん、なんだか雰囲気変わりましたね。
そうか？
なんだか前よりずっととっつきやすくなった感じ。もう吹雪ちゃん、本人に向かって失礼だよ。へえ、楓ちゃんだってさっき言ってたじゃん。
Busted!
やれやれだな。
あ、それじゃあ私もそろそろおいとましますね。
あ、今日もバイト？
はい、終わったら連絡します。週末の予定決めましょう。
オッケー、じゃあ連絡待ってるよ。
なになに、なんだにゃ。ダルニャン、ユキニャンとかなりいい感じだにゃ。
そうあ、でもフェリスタンへの愛ももちろん変わらないのだぜ。
もう父さんたらまた。
It had been several days since then. All the chaos with Amadeus and Kurisu's memories had calmed down, and normal life had resumed. There had been no official announcement about what had happened in the basement of Tokyo Denki University. The next day, the basement had been sealed off because of what was described as a lab accident. The military, or maybe Stratfo, had covered it up. And since then, we hadn't seen anything strange going on around us. There should have been no traces that we were ever there. They probably weren't going to come after us.
それにしてもあれは何だったんだろう。
あれって？
あの女がカガリにマキセ・クリスの記憶をダウンロードした時うまくいかなかったんだよ。
ただシステムがうまく作動しなかっただけじゃないん？
ダルニャンの言う通りだにゃ。考えすぎることないにゃ。
そうなのかな。なんか気になるんだよね。
そういえばあの時。
Wait, can I pull up the phone yet? No? Okay. It'll never happen. Kaguri seemed to have been thinking of something. She opened her mouth to speak.
でも。
ちょっとカガリ、言いかけて途中でやめないでよ。気になるだろ。
あの時声が聞こえたような気がするの。
声？
うん、頭の奥で誰だかわからないけどダメって。
This poor chick and the voices. How many voices does she have?
あの時のことをほとんど覚えてないから、ただの夢か何かだったのかも。
アマデウス、もしかしたらアマデウスじゃないかしら。クリスが最後の最後で自分の記憶をカガリさんに上書きされるのを拒んだんじゃないかって。
真帆にしてはロジカルじゃない意見だな。
Lukako and Mayuri stared at each other when they heard Maho's words.
その僕たちが最後にアマデウスさんを起動した時なんですけど、途中で通信が切られたんです。オカリンのボットさんが話してるのに、なんだかすごく慌てたみたいに切れたんだ。
That have been when it happened?
でもそんなことありえるの？わからないけど、アマデウスにも人間と同じ自己防衛本能はあるはずよ。だから自分の記憶をよからぬことに利用されようとしているのに気づいてということも考えられなくはないわ。
In a different world line, Kurisu's memories had once existed inside of Kaguri. Maybe Kurisu had saved Kaguri from experiencing the same fate here. There may have been another reason, but at least that was what I wanted to think.
なあオカリン、僕も一個わからんことがあるんだけど。
なんだ？
オカリンの話だと、これまでアマデウスが原因で 何度か世界線の変動があったんだろ。でも僕たちがあの時のことを覚えてるってことは、今回は変動してないってことだよな。それはなんでなんだろう。
ああ、そのことか。
I thought about that right after what had happened.
おそらくだが、これまでの世界線の変動はアマデウスに対してアクションを起こしたことで、クリスの記憶が何者かの手に渡ったことが原因だと思われる。
Whoever had gotten the memories had used them to rewrite the past.
だが今回はその原因であるアマデウスとクリスの記憶そのものを消去した。原因が取り除かれれば、それによる世界線の変動は起きない。そういうことだろう。
The cause of the battle between Stratfo and Derpa was gone. Derpa. I'm literally a child. It's just a funny sounding name. And we'd gotten rid of the data that Kurisu had left behind. Future created by Kurisu's memories was gone. But Suzuha and Kaguri were still here. If they were still here, then the future hadn't changed that much. Of course, I knew that. Unless I could reach Steins Gate, the world line convergence wouldn't change. But that didn't mean that this was for nothing. There was that small flash of insight I'd felt in 2036. This world was another step toward it.
で、これからどうするん？
そうだな。いろいろやるべきことはあるが、その前に。
I took something out of the pocket of my lab coat.
さて、皆に俺からプレゼントだ。
これは
New lab pins, let's go!
ラボメンバージ。俺たち全員がこのラボのメンバーである証だ。
OSHMKUFAHSA. Let's see. Okabe, Shina, Hashida, Makise, Kiryu, Urushibara, Ferris, Amane, Hyajo, Shina, two Shinas, which is kind of funny. Hey, who am I missing? Oh God, what? Who's? I'm gonna continue playing the game. The badge had everyone's initials on it. Of course, Kurisu and Moeka's were there too. I'd added in Hyajo Maho, Shina Kaguri, and Amane Yuki to... Oh, that's funny. So there's two Amanes and two Shinas. Accepting the past for what it was and connecting it to the future. That was my job right now.
ラボメ。
Kaguri held the badge to her chest happily.
私の宝物、一つ増えちゃった。
The path that lay before me might be even harder than the one I'd traveled so far. But I knew the light was still there at the end of it.
私クリスとオカリンさんが仲良くなれた理由なんとなくわかる気がするわ。
I love that she calls him Ocarine-san now. I love that was her. Not only did she call him that, that was her condition. She was like, I get to call you this.
私も父さんたちがどうしてあんなにもオカリンおじさんを頼りにしていたのかやっとわかった。
私もママがオカリンさんをずっと好きなのわかるな。かがりちゃん違うよ。マユシーはオカリンの人質でだからそういうのとは。
なんこれオカリンだけモテまくり許せんリアチェ爆発しろ
父さんには母さんがい
I
る
was
でし
about
ょ
to say, Daru, I hate to break it to you, my guy. You are now in the explosive camp. Many different futures and many different pasts. Where they all converge, I know I'll find you. So...
ああ、俺だ。何？いつになったら助けに来るのか、だと？慌てるな。今はまだその時ではない。 俺を誰だと思っている？いいか、狂気のマッドサイエンティストフォー・オー・インキョーマに二言はない。だからしばし待つがよい。お前を絡め取るその時の呪縛からいつか必ず俺が助け出してやる。
I picked the perfect fucking background for this. Really kills the tension.
ああ、必ずだ。
Or sorry, it improves the tone 100%. Kurisu, until the day comes that we meet, all I have I give to you.
エル、プサイ、コングルー。
December 2011, Akihabara. A year after all the chaos, Maho visited the Future Gadget Lab for the first time in a long while.
お、来た来た。
お久しぶりね、みんな。
Oh, can I pull up my phone now? Damn it!
真帆さんだ。すごく会いたかったよ。てってる
お久しぶりです、真帆さん。
元気そうで何よりだにゃ。みんな相変わらずで安心したわ。そっちこそ変わってないね。どうせ私は小さいわよ。
I knew she was gonna take it that way.
そういう意味で言ったんじゃないって。わかってる。冗談よ。どうしたの？
この1年真帆さんに会えなくて寂しかったよ。
Ow!
ちょっとそんな抱きつかなくても。
だって
ごめん。本当は夏にも来たかったんだけど、大学の方でもいろいろあって。
The events of last January had left deep scars on Maho's lab. Of course they had. Not only was Amadeus involved, but many people in the college, including Dr. Reyes, had been involved as well.
遠いところよく来てくれた、真帆。
当たり前よ。私だっていろいろと関わってきたんだもの。この目で見届けるのが務めだわ。
After all, you are lab member 009.
でも本当にいいのか？この1年の後処理が無駄になるんだぞ。
無駄になんてならないわよ。第一、この世界の未来が過去につながるって言ったのはあなたでしょ？だから私はこの世界で私がすべきことをやっただけよ。
ああ、そうだったな。
I was supposed to die in 2025, but I was alive. Everyone had been fooled. The past me, everyone in the future, the world had been deceived. I thought the future was certain, but instead I found a future I didn't expect. So, wouldn't I be able to deceive the world too? And by doing so, avoid the future that awaited us? And if I could deceive the world, maybe I could find Steins Gate. But how to do so, unfortunately, was beyond me right now. But the future me had said,
シュタインズゲート世界線への道は険しい。一度や二度やり直したところでたどり着ける道ではないだろう。けれどまずはそこから始めることがシュタインズゲートへとつながるんじゃないか。いくつもの未来の先が過去へとつながっているんじゃないか。11年前オカリンはそう言ってた。だからさ、僕たちがいるこの世界も無駄じゃない。きっと必要な世界なんだ。少なくとも今の僕はそう思ってる。
many futures all connected to the past. That meant there was only one thing for me to do.
橋田さん、例のものはちゃんとできたの？
もちろん、もう使えるはずだお。
old microwave sitting in the back of the development room. It was the time leap machine that Maho helped finish. Daru had added a new function to it.
それにしてもこんなものが世界の命運を握っていたなんてね。
That's right, everything began here. Our fate and Kurisu's had all been ruined by this device. I have like, I'm getting chills again. Like I just, the gravity of this, like the weight of all this. The one difference between this and the old phone wave was that this was connected to a smartphone, not an old feature phone. Text messages to the past would be detected by CERN no matter what I did, which meant that we'd become a target. That would mean taking this world that I'd only gained at the cost of sacrificing Kurisu right back to where we started. There would be no point in that. But there were other ways to communicate now beyond simple emails. There were other ways to send messages. The software we use now, Rhine, was one of them.
名付けて D ラインってとこかな。
Of course, the idea of using the electrons of the CRT television in the Braun Tube workshop to control gravity and create a singularity to send the message back in time was the same. And the amount we could send was still 18 characters, same as the D-mail. But we didn't have to worry about CERN finding it. We didn't have to worry about Mayuri being killed. The only problem was that we couldn't send messages back before we started using Rhine, but there was nothing I could do about that. The most important thing to do now was to make it possible.
まったくどこにも補足されないようになんて注文つけるから結構大変だったのだぜ。抜け穴見つけるのにめっちゃ時間かかったんだからな。
He'd complained, but he'd pulled it off anyway. Daru's the fucking man.
さすがだ。マイフェイバリットライトアーム。
あ、何気に懐かしい響き。
でもオカリン本当にいいの？
そうだにゃ。またそのことで京奈が辛い思いをするんじゃないのかにゃ。
かもしれないな。
だった
ら。でもそれでも俺はやらなければならない。
オカリンさん。
Third World War was going to happen unless I could stop it. Kagari and Suzuha's presence made that obvious. There was only one future that lay before us, but it was another piece of the path that would lead us to Steins Gate. To get there, I would have to go into the past and start over. It would be fine. I was capable of starting over as many times as I needed to now. I could overcome anything. Until I reached that promised door, I had already had the message I was going to send. Sending that message must have been why I'd come to this world line in the first place. Of course, I didn't know what I'd think or what I'd do when I received it, but I knew that I would be successful. I would lead us to another future and to another past.
かがりさん、不安ですか？
だってもし過去が変わって平和な時代が来たらママと出会えなくなっちゃうかもしれない。
かがりちゃん。
心配ない。アトラクタフィールド理論では起こるべきものは必ず起こる。そう決まっている。世界線が変わろうと君はマユリに出会うはずだ。
本
当？ああ、俺が保証する。
ママ！よかったね、かがりちゃん。オカリンが保証してくれたら安心だよ。未来でもきっと会おうね。
おじさん。
Oh, she's blushing.
ありがとう。
Dude, everybody's so happy to have the true Okabe back.
礼を言われることじゃない。
True Ocarina.
もともとは俺が蒔いた種だ。
And this was where things got really hard.
それでも言わせて。ありがとう。
そのセリフ、父さんにもプリーズ。
父さんもありがとう。
もっと上目遣いで目をうるうるさせていっておくれ、マイドーター。
When the past changed, everything I'd done in the past year would be undone. All the futures I'd experienced and all the time it took me to come back would go away too. But they wouldn't go to waste. I was here now, and in the past, I was just about to begin my work. And then the future lay beyond. When all those lives came together, the door to the future would be waiting. Steins Gate would be waiting.
では行くぞ。法王院教魔の名において、これより新たなるオペレーションヘルヘイムを開始する。ラボメン全員準備はいいか。
Find the way there. I would change the past again.
Okie dokie!
Yeah! Oh man, come. No, pan back to Mao. I gotta see her again. Kurisu, so that someday we can be together once more. Trick World, linking each possibility. Yes! Yeah! I love this game. I love the series. I love this world. I love all these characters, every single one, except that one, and that one, and that one. I think that's it. Just those three. Everybody else, I love them all. I love the song. I love, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I'm just gonna chill. Oh, I don't know if that was weird. Oh, you know what else I love? You know what else I love? The fact that it fucking OBS didn't disconnect. Hell yeah. Let's go. I'm on a roll here. I'm not gonna say I fixed it. I'm not gonna say nothing ever is gonna go wrong, because that's hubris, and I'm not falling into that. But I am gonna say I'm happy it didn't. That again. Why does that keep happening? I'll look into that, because I have noticed like some weird stuttering, but it's like in the game this time and not like my stream. It's the actual game. So I'll look into that, see if I can like change a setting. A D Ryan, I love the message. A D Ryan was sent. Promised I couldn't even begin to tell you how to pronounce that word. Rinascimento. Is that Italian? It sounds Italian. Promised Rinascimento. I assume it's some kind of. It sounds like a musical term of some kind. And I got another new wallpaper. I didn't even see what I unlocked for the last one. I need to check those, but I can't now because I'm done. So I'll have to check it next time. I got 2 new wallpapers to check on. What is today? Monday? It's Monday. So Thursday, I gotta check those wallpapers. I'm gonna look at. They didn't pan back to Maho. I need to see Maho. Good. That picture is so great. And Maho's face is so great. No. Nope, these are... Nope. Wait. There it is. Yeah. Oh, no. Zoom. Can I zoom? C and Z or zoom. That's weird. Why? I have found my new Discord profile picture. Alright, and with that, I am out. Have a wonderful day, night, midday, whatever time it may be. Farewell.